about 3 applicants for the position of CEO.
Yes.
We ask that you make an interim order over the 3rd that is the applicant other than persons from whom you have received evidence or are receiving evidence today. I'm referring to that person obliquely to avoid identifying that person.
I think I remember the name.
Yeah. The basis for it being that when people go apply for positions, it's often not public, and people may be more reluctant to apply for positions if the application becomes public. We accept that it could be that that process of appointment becomes so important, it is sufficiently central that your assessment ultimately is that the interest in the openness of this inquiry outweighs that interest in confidentiality, especially given that it's some years old. So it's not. You may well ultimately make a different come to a conclusion about a different balance, but we do seek that interim order for the time being to give council assisting an opportunity to consider that, and then a decision can be made about whether it is sufficiently important that in fact you should order it. All of that should be public anyway.
It's just the name?
Yes. Well, name and anything identified, the identity of that person. So we would need to consider whether there's anything else which would identify that person, but it's probably just the name and anything else that identifies.
My recollection yesterday is it was only the name that was mentioned. Do we have a reference in the transcript of where that?
I haven't got a reference in the transcript. My learned friend just raised it with me.
Yes.
We have no objection to the interim order continuing. We would like the opportunity to just review the document, review the evidence, and see if in our view that there is any difficulty in restricting the non-publication order to the name, but I just can't assist you at the moment.
All right. Has the public part of yesterday's transcript gone on the website yet?
No.
All right. Well, it won't for the moment. Team has heard that. Let's not push the public part of the transcript to the website at the moment. That'll take care of the issue in the short term, Mr. Emmett. And as part of that, it occurred to me when reading the private transcript overnight that there seemed to be significant sections of that might be able to be made public.
That's right.
At some time today, one of those assisting you be able to identify the passages of that transcript that you would wish to maintain the orders or directions I made yesterday over, and then we can push the whole lot to the website at some convenient time during the day?
Yes, Commissioner. No, please.
Right.
Anything else?
I'm about to call Mr. Breton.
Yes.
Who's already
He's already
there. He is represented.
Yes.
Commissioner Tynan, I appear for Mr. Breton.
Yes, leave is granted for that purpose. Thank you, Mr. Tynan. Mr. Breton, would you like to take an oath or an affirmation?
Both, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Breton. Yes, Mr. McDonald.
Please state your full name,
My full name is Jason Breton, Breton.
current occupation.
I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Liverpool City Council.
Mr. Breton, in the council election in 2021, you stood for election as a councillor.
Yes.
You stood on an independent ticket.
Yes.
And when I say ticket, there were a number of other people putting themselves forward to be elected as a councillor on that ticket.
Yes.
Would document INQ.041.001.0001 be brought up, please? Yes, please. Mr. Breton, do you see this is an article from the Daily Telegraph with a heading Liverpool City Council elections 2021 meet the lead candidates?
Yes.
If we could move through, to page 22. You can see at the bottom you're listed, independent, South Ward, with your current occupation, previous occupation. And then if we move to the second page, the next page, page 23, photograph, former Detective Chief Inspector, who now works on Australia's largest transport and infrastructure projects, and then you're born and bred Liverpool local.
Yes.
And then if we go to the next page, there's a quote from you, truly independent.
Yes.
And then you've got other councillor nominees in the group ticket, Lorenzo Luciano,
Yes.
Michael Harte, Fiona Harte, and then Attorney Cancellara.
Yes.
Would you please bring up document INQ.047.001.0002? Yes, please. This is from the New South Wales Electoral Commission. It's the result or the candidate results from that election. And you can see that it's grouped in various parties. So it starts off with Labor, then there's the Liverpool Community Independence Team, keeps on going, Liberal, and then Group D, and it doesn't appear you had a name.
No.
But again, you're listed, and the other people whose names are referred to are listed. Dennis Harte and Fiona Harte, are they husband and wife?
I believe so.
And are they the parents of the current councillor, Matthew Harte?
I know they're family members.
All right, related somehow.
Yes.
Lorenzo Luciano, was he also known as Max?
I don't know the person. Never met him.
But he's on your ticket.
Correct.
How did that come about?
I was thinking about running as an independent, and I met Matthew Harte, and I was going to run under the line by myself, and was told that was ridiculous. I would not get the numbers to run under the line with 60, 80 candidates in a local election. He encouraged me to run above the line. I said, I don't know how to do that. He said, I do. And he got 4 names for me, and I put a ticket up on the understanding that look, I run a remarkably unsuccessful candidature, and that they would probably not get the votes. But he asked them to do it, and they did it for me.
All right. When did you meet Matthew Harte?
I met him in an office that was established. He was working as Ned Mannoun's campaign manager. I think he was 18 or 19 at this stage. I'd been asked to do something for them.
I'm sorry. Mr. Harte was working in an office as Ned Mannoun's campaign manager.
I think he was running the campaign.
For the 21 election.
For the 21 election, yeah. This is prior to my candidature. I can take you through how that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not very sinister. A guy called Arvind Lal, L-A-L, wanted to introduce me to Ned Mannoun. I'd shown some interest in local government for a number of years. In fact, I had applied for some directorships at Liverpool Council under Kirsten Fishburne's rule. Anyway, Arvind Lal and I were both soccer coaches in the NPL. and he arranged a coffee with Ned Mannoun. That's the first time I met him down at the Riverside development there at Liverpool. And he had no understanding of, I was doing major works for Downer Metro Trains in relation to project controls and Gantt charts and scheduling. And I just volunteered. I was out of work at the time. I volunteered to help them put up a linear map in the office and plot the election. There was some challenges with the election. I think it was pushed back, and put some milestones in for them, and just do some project control stuff for them, just under some goodwill. And that's where I met Matthew Harte, who was sitting there and looking after the campaign.
So the coffee with Mr. Mannoun, that was in the lead up to the 2021 election.
I think that's 6 months before the actual election took place, maybe even more, maybe earlier that year. I think the election was early December.
You hadn't nominated at this stage?
No, I had no intention. I think Ego got the best in the commissioner, and when it was suggested, I really do have a very strong civic feeling about Liverpool. I actually thought, believe it or not, that I had a chance and I could make a difference. I know that sounds a little bit silly.
So it was, as you said, you met Mr. Mannoun. You volunteered to put up in their electoral office, as you described it, a linear map leading up to the election.
Yeah.
And basically it was some form of project management leading up to the election.
Yeah. So it's a big strip of brown paper, which I put up across 2 walls, and I had the election date, and I just done what we typically do in project world, a Gantt chart with sticky notes as milestones into what, and I spoke to Matt and others about what the kind of things they wanted to do in a lead up, and we put those milestones in. Last day to nominate, all those kind of static details, and then some. They put some different coloured notes in and around some of the activities they would do in campaign mode.
And it was during the time you were doing this work that Matthew Harte suggested, "Why don't you stand?"
Yeah, I don't know how the suggestion came up. I think it was just a conversation. I wasn't that enamoured with the candidates, and I thought I was a good chance. I didn't know anything up. I was an absolute novice in this space, but I did think in the interim between roles, it was good for my CV. It was certainly something I wanted to do, and I had some constraints around. I was going to bring some family members in, but my brother was a local magistrate commissioner and he couldn't do it, and I was kind of without options, so it sounded like a good idea at the time.
Right. And you've given evidence that Mr. Harte also discussed with you the benefits of being above the line rather than below the line.
Correct.
And he organised a Dennis and Fiona Harte, who are some family relation to Matthew Harte. Did you ever meet Tony Cancellarella?
No.
Mr. Luciano, you didn't meet him?
No. And I never met the Harts either, Dennis or Fiona.
You've never met
Never met them.
Do you know anything about Mr. Luciano and whether he had a relationship with Mr. Mannoun?
No.
Would you bring up, please, document INQ.047.001.0001, please, and it can be live streamed. In an article from the Daily Telegraph, this is dated, I think it's 2019. But can you see a reference to Liverpool restaurateur Max Luciano caught driving with cocaine in his system.
That's what it says, yeah?
And if we would move down the article, the first paragraph is man credited with revitalising Liverpool's CBD. Will have to front up and tell the city's mayor why he was snorting cocaine, a court has heard. And then if you, in the second paragraph, can you see what he pleaded guilty to as reported there?
Yes.
And then the next paragraph refers to he had the backing of former City Mayor Ned Mannoun in court, who wrote a character reference on his behalf.
Okay.
So that link between Mr. Mannoun and Mr. Luciano, you had no idea about it at the time that you agreed to go on a ticket with him.
I found out about it 2 minutes ago.
All right. You're on a ticket. Did the ticket determine the giving of preferences? If you can, sorry, I haven't expressed that very well. Can I just ask the ticket? Were you standing in the same ward, or was some in the North Ward, some in the South Ward?
I don't know. I assumed the South Ward.
All right. And, you know, usually where you have a ticket, you have a how to vote.
Yes.
State the obvious. And often candidates will direct preferences to other parties.
Okay.
Right. Did you do that?
I understood that my preferences, I rang around all the candidates.
Mm-hmm.
I did not receive a call back from two of them, but I was aware that the Liberal Party would reciprocally preference my ticket. But I don't recall doing anything about that.
All right. Who did you speak to from the Liberal Party that indicated there would be this reciprocal arrangement with preferences?
Well, nobody. I spoke to Matt Harte, and I don't know whether he is a member of the Liberal Party or was a member of the Liberal Party, but it was Matt Harte that I spoke to about how preferences worked. Again, I didn't know.
Right.
I was a relative novice in relation to how that might assist or otherwise.
And it was through him that this reciprocal relationship was, reciprocal relationship was put in place.
After no interest from every other party, yes.
Mr. Harte managed that.
Yes, Commissioner. I don't recall filling out a form or doing anything about that. It was almost an agreement. I remember that I'd left messages for Mr. Haggerty without a response. Dr. Betty Green wasn't interested at that time, and I think Caress Rhodes, I'd met her at Carnes Hill and asked her, and she wasn't interested. Again, there was not much value in my preference, to be fair.
You identified that Matthew Harte was running Mr. Mannoun's campaign.
Assisting. I mean, he was a young guy. He was sitting in an office and he was doing, I think he's, a student of politics, and he was assisting the campaign, yes.
And at that stage, you didn't know he was a member of the Liberal Party?
No, I never asked him. I assumed he had some affiliation.
Mm.
I don't know who's a member of anything. Still to this day, I've never asked him. But my assumption is he is. I mean, he's a Liberal councillor.
Yes.
Whether he still holds party membership, I'm kind of meaning, I assume he does. I never asked the question.
All right, so the upshot is not successful at the election.
Fundamental failure. I went to Moorebank Primary School and there was a split ward, and at about 2 o'clock I realised that half my how to votes were no good because my name wasn't on the ticket inside, obviously because it was a split ward.
Huh.
And I kind of had an epiphany. I went to Casula and my numbers went up, and that's how badly I went. And I went home with my tail between my legs, picked up my core flutes the next day, and that's the end of my political career.
Right. Now, it appears that your next association with Liverpool City Council is when you apply for the CEO position in 2022.
Correct.
Excuse me for a minute. Would document LCC.010.007.6819 be brought up, please? And it can be live streamed, and redactions have been made to the document. That's the first page of the application form that you completed.
Yes.
If we go to the end of that page, it sets out your various tertiary qualifications.
Yes.
There's the reference in the second last row to Bachelor of Policing. Does that reflect the fact that your work life you commenced in the police force?
23 years and 10 months. So not from my work life, but I think I was a 21-year-old man when I joined the police.
Yep.
Yep.
And which rank did you reach?
Detective Chief Inspector Incumbent and Acting Commander or Superintendent of Coffs Clarence Local Area Command.
You say Coffs, so is that near Coffs Harbour?
Yeah, it takes in 17 police stations from Urunga in the south to Yamba in the north, but the biggest two towns are Coffs Harbour and Grafton. And I was the acting commander there for a period.
Did you spend much of your policing career in the north?
No, all in the Major Crime Squad, Commissioner. I was lucky enough to win. I wasn't going to knock it back when I got the job in Coffs Harbour, and that was going, swimmingly for a while. And then the Bulldogs investigation started, and it didn't go so swimmingly. Yep.
Would we go to page 2? Under employment summary, you then set out your employment history from about 2010, and there's employment by Downer, Busways, Aurora Marketing, Metro Trains, and then at the time of your application, you're with Hitachi.
Correct.
Now, I just wanted to highlight part of your application, which is rather long. Would you go to page 5, please? Now, I think this is kind of part of the criteria, and it's executive expertise in government, including an understanding of statutory environment, community expectations and government directions. And what I just wanted to highlight, in 2012, you refer to being the Assistant Ombudsman at Warringah Council.
Correct.
How does that reconcile with that employment summary that I took you to, which we can jump back to on page 2, where around that time you were employed by Downer?
So it doesn't. So the Downer, I spent 6 years at Downer. So 2010, I'd left the police force in the June, and I was working for a company called Risk Group in York Street, RISQ. I was the Chief of Staff of Downer and I was the Director of Major Projects, but in late 2010, I was working for RISQ Group, who had a subcontract into Warringah Council, who were in administration, and I was put there for, I think, 6 to 9 months as the Assistant Ombudsman.
So your time at Downer started in about 2012.
Yeah, after that 2012, I think it was in the January. Yep.
So in the line-up, you've got Downer from 2012 to 2018. That covers the whole period.
Yeah, it covers it. If Chief of Staff was a consultant to Risk Group, that would make more sense to me at the moment. So that was a period. So I'd left the police again in the June. I think there was a small hiatus and I'd started working for Risk Group. And I'd gone back to university, I think.
So that first row under employment summary, instead of being Chief of Staff Downer, it could refer to being employed by RISQ.
Yeah. If the 210 was a 211, I'd copped it late in 211. I'd made the move from consultancy across to Downer because I was going to join them. So I've missed out by a digit there. And I didn't have my consultancy in there in that table. I mean, you could take it back. I could have put all the police stuff in there as well. But
and the work you did with Warringah Council, maybe if we can jump back to page 5, please. You say in 2012, as the Assistant Ombudsman at Warringah Council, worked with Mayor, councillors, directors daily in managing complaints and satisfying community expectations around probity, professional standard and compliance. Then I just wanted to jump to, on that page, it's 4 further paragraphs commencing insofar. Insofar as complex sensitive issues, you refer to your previous police experience, a professional standards manager and ombudsman to Council Warringah. Were you the Assistant Ombudsman or the Ombudsman?
I was the Assistant Ombudsman.
Okay. And roughly how long were you in that role?
6 to 9 months.
And where you previously referred to working with the mayor, councillors and directors in managing complaints, back in 2012, were there code of conduct governing councils at that point?
Yeah, there were. My recollection of this period is private certifiers had just become a thing. And
With the development application.
yeah, and there was a lot of challenges in relation to the quality of the private certifiers' work. And a lot of my work was around that. I particularly recall this because of a specific incident at DY. And I think the mayor who had left had become a private certifier. That's my recollection.
This is jumping ahead to a topic that we will cover in the upcoming days, but the type of code of conduct complaints that you have been dealing with, let's say over the past 8 or 9 months, were any of those complaints being made when you were at Warringah?
Yes, but clearly not to scale.
No.
Yeah, but yes, of a similar ilk. But yes, yes.
All right. And were they complaints that within the system in operation at Warringah Council at that time, you were the person who looked at the complaint, either tried to resolve or determine the complaint.
Correct.
And at that point, was there a role or use of the external company that would come in and either conduct an investigation?
By nature of my existence, I was an external company doing that role.
But it's a little bit different because you're actually being, my understanding is, though you were in a sense with risk queue, you were actually in the council as the either ombudsman or assistant ombudsman. So in a sense, although your employment status was that you were not an employee of council, you were, to use a description that's been used in this, you were kind of in the tent, not outside the tent.
Yeah, I get it. I just don't recall sending anything out for another external to give me advice. Andrew Patterson was the ombudsman, who was also a consultant and a deep local government experience. And we kind of had it covered. I don't think I remember sending anything out to a third party.
What was the ambit of the Ombudsman's office, you and Mr. Patterson, during the time you were there? What was the left and right of arc of your function?
It was a council in distress, and there was a number of complaints from councillors and others, and the volume got too much. It was an area separated, ideally from the actual council building, in the car park there at Warringah, or at DY, and we had interface only via Andrew Patterson into the council across the road. So I kept a pretty good separation, but the ambit was pretty much everything that was coming across. A lot of complaints, a lot of issues in relation to planning.
Like what?
Commissioner, I went
a long time ago.
I don't forget this one. I went down in a complaint to a high rise at DY, which was constructed for 6 stories, which had 7. Other complaints were there was land divisions that went through people's kitchens. It was a bit rough.
So did they come to the Ombudsman's office because there was a concern as to how those issues had been handled internally within the council? Is that the idea?
I probably don't know the genesis of doing the double consultant on it. I'd assume that, well, the fact is, I think they had some internal governance around it before, but it wasn't robust enough. It's a really challenging piece in relation to if we colloquially in the tent or out of the tent, and then this idea of separation and at what level that is. If you're burying a governance team quite deep, what level do they have influence over that separation of powers?
And do you recall where you and Mr. Patterson plugged back into the organisation? Was it at the general manager, CEO level?
Yeah, it was via Andrew Patterson into the GM level. Yep.
And it also dealt with councillor conduct concerns?
Correct.
What about other staff conduct concerns? Do you remember?
Generally, the staff conduct was managed by HR. Yep.
Moving towards the end of 2022, there is a recruitment for the appointment of a permanent CEO at Liverpool City Council.
Yes.
And you apply.
I did.
And sorry, I just showed you your application form. Now, and again, just kind of a short review, you applied. Was your understanding that you were part of an initial short list, which might have been about 10 or 11 candidates?
Yes, I didn't know the number, but it was a 3-interview stage process. The first was a screen by Stephen Blackadder.
By himself?
Yes, yes. I think I met him at Majors Bay Road at Concord at a coffee shop. The second, and I don't know the numbers, was at Phillips Park on a Saturday. And then if you were successful from that tranche, you were to attend council on the Tuesday and give a free 45-minute pitch to the full members of council. That was my recollection, and I was first in that process.
Right. The interview at Phillips Park on a Saturday, where in Phillips Park?
Okay, so we had built, or council had built a new structure in Phillips Park. There's a council area with rooms, and in those rooms there was a room separated, so there was a holding room for the candidate. So you went in one door, you were in a holding room. The interview panel were in a further room, and as the prior candidate left, you were then taken by Stephen Blackadder from one room into the others, and then the candidates would never cross paths.
Okay. The panel who interviewed you at Phillips Park on that Saturday, who was on the panel?
Okay, Stephen Blackadder, Ned Mannoun, Betty Green, Caress Rhodes. I'm going to say Fiona McNaught in pencil. I think it was Fiona McNaught. Yep.
Right. Then your understanding is that when you were invited to address the council, was that on the 6th of December?
Okay.
No, around that time?
I thought it was the Tuesday or the early in that next week, whatever that date was. I don't remember the date.
And was it your understanding that you had been shortlisted in that there were about 3 applicants who were making the pitch?
That was my understanding, and I knew that I was first of those 3.
And the pitch to the council, that occurred in a closed session?
Yes.
And all the councillors, so the mayor and all the councillors were present?
All the councillors were present.
And after presenting your pitch and then leaving, were you then contacted as to whether you had been the successful applicant?
No. I rang Stephen Blackadder on the way back from football training at about 8 o'clock and said, what's going on? And he told me that John Ajaka had won the job, and I wasn't very happy about that.
All right. So can I just, the pitch, was that in the afternoon or the evening?
I think I was early afternoon.
And that enabled you to go to soccer coaching?
Yes.
And about 8 o'clock that night, you hadn't heard anything, so you rang Mr. Blackadder.
Correct.
And he informed you that you weren't successful, but Mr. Ajaka was successful.
Correct.
And why weren't you, other than you wanted the job and probably thought you were the best candidate, was there anything specific as to why you were annoyed Mr. Ajaka got the role?
Not specific. And my annoyance only lasted until I Googled John Ajaka. I didn't know who John Ajaka was. And then when I Googled Mr. Ajaka and looked at his credentials, Commissioner, okay.
All right. At any time through the process of in your written application, your first interview with Mr. Blackadder, the second one before the panel and the third one before the council, did you reveal your contact with the mayor in that lead up to the 21 election, that you'd attended his office, done the voluntary work with the brown piece of paper, etc., and then at the suggestion of somebody working within the office, you formed this, or you were part of this ticket? Did you feel that?
No.
And the way you're looking at me, your view was that you didn't think you should or needed to.
1,000%. In my mind, there was no correlation whatsoever.
Sorry, correlation between.
Correlation, inference in relation to an association that I would disclose. People meet people all the time. I didn't advertise for the job, somebody else did, and I saw an opportunity and went for it.
Well, it's not just limited to people meet people all the time. You actually went to the campaign office.
Yes.
You did some work there, though of a voluntary nature. And then at the suggestion of a worker there,
Yeah.
you become part of a ticket where it would appear, and ultimately agreed that preferences would be reciprocally exchanged with the Liberal ticket.
Okay,
But your view was did not need to be raised.
1,000%.
Can you just excuse me for a minute? Sorry,
That's right.
sorry.
Had you had any engagement with any of the other councillors?
No personal interactions with them particularly.
And other than the Gantt chart for Mr. Mannoun's or Councillor Mannoun's, I should say, campaign, had you had any other engagement with him prior to your application?
No.
So we're at the stage you're returning from soccer coaching, you ring Mr. Blackadder, you're told you haven't been successful. Does Mr. Blackadder suggest anything to you?
He does.
What does he suggest?
He says you should call Mr. Ajaka and congratulate him.
Were you given a contact number by Mr. Blackadder?
Yes, I was, yes.
And did you follow Mr. Blackadder's suggestion?
I did. I had no response that evening. I called him. I think I may have flown back up to Brisbane. I was on the Cross River Rail project and I called him from up there.
Did you eventually speak with Mr. Ajaka?
I did. He said he didn't know I was in Brisbane. Sorry. Yes. When? 2 days after, I think, maybe on the Friday, maybe early the next week. I spoke with John Ajaka and Tina Bono, who was the acting CEO.
Separately or?
No, together.
Okay. And this was when you were in Brisbane?
I was in Brisbane when I made the phone call to John Ajaka, yes.
And what was discussed in that phone call?
Well, he said, can you come in? I said, no, I'm in Brisbane. He said, well, I'd like to have a chat with you. So the very next available time, I flew back to Sydney and I was going home anyway for the weekend. And I went to 33 Moore Street.
Mm-hmm. And you had some kind of meeting with Mr. Ajaka?
And Miss Bono, yes.
And what was discussed at that meeting?
John was talking about restructuring and was looking at I don't assume, he was looking at my project credentials and they were going to amalgamate two directorates, a directorate called City Presentation, which is the green shirts out there doing the roads and rubbish and the grass, and another directorate called Infrastructure and Engineering, which were essentially the delivery team and the engineers in construction. And he was going to amalgamate both those roles into a super directorate of about 337, 340 people.
All right. You spoke about City Presentation. That's dealing with workers at the depot.
Correct.
Who are going out, as you said, cutting grass, dealing with parks and other kind of more problems throughout the council.
Correct.
And then the infrastructure and engineering, that was actually a directorate?
Directorate domiciled at 3 Hoxton Park Road under the control of Raj, R-A-J, Ajatar.
Now, he spoke to you and said that there was some kind of planned restructure,
Yes.
but in the interim, were you offered a position?
I wasn't interested in going to the depot. I wanted to sell Liverpool, and I was talking to him about a role in not economic development, but what ultimately became City Futures. And he then said, would you mind going down to the depot for 3 months? Because there's a bit of chaos down there. And I don't think I made a decision right there and then. I think that week I had a look at what was happening up in Brisbane, probably sick of travelling every week, and decided to take the opportunity.
Would document LCC.001.006.0022 be brought up?
Whilst that's happening, Mr. Breton, in your initial conversation on the telephone with Ms. Bono, did you express an interest to him in coming to work at the council, or that you are open to suggestions, if I can put it that way?
Not really. My gut told me there was maybe an opportunity brewing. Otherwise, why would the conversation extend past the congratulation part? And it's not unusual that I've recently run a similar process where my advice to 2 unsuccessful candidates were, are you still interested if something kind of comes up in the future? So I think that's typical business behaviour.
You just spoke about a recent experience that you had.
Yes.
How did you get the other candidates' details?
I'm the
It
hiring.
might be at cross purpose. I think Mr. Breton was talking about a recruitment process that he's run as CEO.
Yes. Yes.
Apologise, we were at cross purposes. I
Yes,
thought this was
that's in fact the case.
after you were appointed, but this is quite separate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you have a look at this letter, dated 16 December 2022, addressed to you,
Yes.
and can you see first paragraph, pleased to offer you a full-time temporary appointment to the position of Director City Presentation on a 35-hour, 5 days per week basis. It's a temporary appointment from January to April.
Correct.
If we move to page 3. Oh, yes, sorry. Oh, right, sorry, page 3, you can see that it's signed by John Ajaka, Chief Executive Officer,
Correct.
and you accepted that offer of employment.
I did.
Just so I've got it clear in the timeline in my mind, Mr. Breton, not too worried about specific dates, but
Yeah.
the recruitment process finishes, Mr. Blackadder, or you chase Mr. Blackadder,
Yes.
which might have been part of the reason why you were displeased.
Yep.
He suggests you call Mr. Ajaka, you do that
Yep.
within a few days, a week, thereabouts. You have
Well, the next day I called him.
and
then
you
we
speak
went-
to him.
Yes, the next day. And within a very short period, I was in the office at 33 Moore Street.
That's why I'm going through this process. You have the conversation with Mr. Ajaka and Ms. Bono,
Yes.
and this opportunity is discussed.
Yes.
And what happens after the end of that conversation? Were you offered this role in that conversation?
I think it was inferred that the opportunity would become. I don't think there was no offer, like
Yeah.
a formal offer at that time, like Tina, go do the paperwork. I don't think that happened. I think I was still pondering. I wasn't exactly certain, and took a little bit of a risk because it was a short-term appointment, but I was going to back myself once I realised what the role was.
So was there another conversation where the things became more formalised?
Yeah, I think Tina and I had a phone call, and it was formalised. Got to get the paperwork done, and I think that's the artefact.
And so all of these things happened whilst you're in Brisbane?
Yeah.
So it was all done over the phone?
It all done over the phone, except I remember flying back from Brisbane because I complained. He thought I was in Sydney and thought I could just pop over. So I was definitely in Brisbane at the time of the first phone call. but definitely inside 33 Moore Street.
So this letter's dated 16th of December,
Yeah,
and the council meeting where Mr. Ajaka was appointed was,
I think the 6th of December.
yeah, so it happens within about a week to 10 days. Is that accorded with your record?
yeah, it does. Yep.
So you are appointed on a temporary basis to this Director of City Presentation, correct?
Yes.
Subsequently, in 2023, you're appointed to another position, Director of Operations.
Correct.
The Director of Operations, the Directorate of Operations, did that reflect the restructure that Mr. Ajaka was speaking about during your December meeting?
Yes, the amalgamation of two directorates into one.
Please bring up document LCC.001.006.0026. Just before we live stream it. Good, sorry. There have been redactions, so if that could be live streamed. Sorry, so standard contract of employment. If you move through to page 4, you can see it states this contract of employment's made on the 14th of June between John Ajaka, and then your name appears towards the bottom.
Yes.
And if we go across to page 5, the position is Director Operations.
Yes.
And you can see there's a term of 5 years, so ending on about, if you go a little bit further, the 13th of June 2028.
Yes.
Now, the letter of the 16th of December anticipated your temporary appointment would end in April 2023. Was it extended until the restructure was finalised?
Yes.
And I take it, did you go through a recruitment process to be appointed Director Operations?
For the extension?
No, for the appointment as Director Operations.
Yes.
Now, just continuing with your work history at Liverpool City Council.
Just before you do that, Ms. McDonald, could you just give me a potted summary of the recruitment process that you went through before your permanent appointment in June of 2023?
Sure. Well, Stephen Blackadder was appointed again by John Ajaka to run the Director of Operations role. I had some obviously advantages as with incumbency. I applied. By that stage, I had some recent and relevant examples actually contextualised for my application. I made the panel. I was interviewed by Stephen Blackadder, John Ajaka and Elizabeth, the CEO of Hawkesbury Council, and I was successful.
You spoke about it being an amalgamation of two other directorates, City Presentation and Infrastructure and Engineering.
Yes.
The Director of City Presentation, who you replaced, albeit on a temporary contract, who was that?
The incumbent was Peter Diplis.
But he was acting CEO.
He was acting CEO, and in the interim, Matthew Morris, a manager, was acting up in the role. So I remember because my handover was Matthew Morris, Peter Diplis and myself in a room as the handover took place. So they were the three parties.
And your understanding is when you were appointed under that temporary contract, Mr. Diplis continued as acting CEO?
No. By the time Peter Diplis had come back in for the handover. By the time that I was anywhere near Liverpool Council, Tina Bono was the acting CEO. Prior to John Ajaka, I never spent a day with Peter as the CEO.
What was Mr. Diplis's in the organisation when you first joined in the December?
Nothing. My understanding, he had a separation, but he agreed to come back in to do a handover with me. There was a separation agreement which I wasn't privy to, and John had asked him, would you be kind enough to come and meet Jason, and Matthew Morris was there as the third party, and that meeting took place at Rose Street, and it wasn't a very successful handover. Not much was said, and off we went. That's the only time I've met Peter Diplis.
All right. And then sorry, just for a sec. When you're appointed on a temporary basis to city presentation, you've already said it was Raj
Ajatar
who headed infrastructure and engineering.
at the time, yes.
Do you know what happened to him?
John settled him out, yes, on 38 weeks.
And that was your expression of John settled him out on 38 weeks. That was, in your understanding, as part of the restructure? Like as a consequence of the restructure?
Consequence. I don't think John Ajaka wanted him in the job, and I remember this because Raj wasn't budging on 38, went for 52 and settled on 38. So I don't think it was consensual restructure. I think Ajatar would have stayed. But I think the CEO had made a decision, and that was made then part of the restructure.
How did you know that Mr. Ajaka didn't want Raj in the job?
He told me.
And again, roughly, when were you told that by Mr. Ajaka?
The first or second week of my employment.
Did Mr. Ajaka tell you anything else about any other directors and whether he wanted them in the job?
Look, I think he wanted a clean slate, and he made a move. I mean, the evidence is there. I think he made a move on 2 or 3 directors at the time. I think Peter Diplis, Raj Ajatar. There was somebody in the HR space.
Yeah, but my question was, did you have any discussions with him about any of those people who were earmarked in the getting a clean slate?
Generally, yes. General discussions, yes, between a director and his CEO, yes. This is
concerning other director.
yes.
And during those conversations, he expressed a view that he didn't want them in the job.
Colloquially.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did he tell you why he wanted a clean slate, as you put it?
I just think he saw there was too much chaos and baggage, and he wanted to take a clean slate. I don't think that's remarkable in any business. I think the CEO needs to pick his team, and he needs to be and feel supported, and maybe he had his own reasons for that. But we spoke generally about that, and it was more about the industrial position in relation to what that might mean as far as payouts or separations, or the fact they didn't want to go and this kind of stuff.
What did you mean by chaos and baggage?
What did I?
In that last answer, you referred to chaos and baggage.
Yeah, so there'd been a lot. There'd been a lot of chaos at Rose Street Depot, particularly in relation to industrial relations matters. We've heard on evidence that there was 46 in the year before Mr. Ajaka was appointed, and that is factual. And he certainly wanted to remove any obstacles to a more passive and consensual position industrially.
Anything else?
No, nothing I can put my mind to. I mean, if I have the benefit of hindsight, I don't think project controls were particularly well managed. But I don't think the evidence was before Mr. Ajaka at that time.
You said that Raj didn't want to go. Is that based on a conversation you had with him?
That's based on a conversation between me and Mr. Ajaka, where he said he doesn't want to go and he's digging his feet in for 52 weeks.
When the temporary appointment, the letter that we've just shown you was 16th of December, and I think it stated that it was effective from the 3rd of January. So you commenced work around the 3rd of January?
On the 3rd, yep.
Do you recall in January, shortly after you started, any meeting that Mr. Ajaka called with the other directors about the way forward?
No, he went on holiday.
Right. And so
So for my first 2 weeks, Mr. Ajaka was on holiday.
when he returned, do you recall any meeting that he called between himself and the other directors?
Yes.
And was anything discussed at this meeting? I'll put it broadly as to the way forward and.
Yeah, I think it was almost a catch up. I mean, there was a couple of Craig Napick, the head of people, he had joined on the 3rd of January. And our first task in Mr. Ajaka's absence was to redesign the organisation. That is to sit and whiteboard the organisation. I remember succinctly on my very first day, I'm sitting there and we're doing org charts. Craig Napick was scribing and we were prepared this frame for Mr. Ajaka on his return, and that's what the meeting was about.
All right. So in answer to my question, when Mr. Ajaka returned, you can recall a meeting, but that seems to have had a specific purpose. The proposed or suggested restructure that you and Mr. Napick had been working on.
All the directors, Ms. Bono, Ms. Kakish.
Right. What I'm actually interested in is, can you recall any meeting with Mr. Ajaka where he said where other directors attended, where he said anything about the way forward and people staying on in their employment with council?
No.
All right. Now, I'm sorry, we're still in your employment history at
That's
Liverpool.
okay.
Council,
Mainly my fault for interrupting.
Yes.
you're the director of operations, and if I can just move to April 2024.
Yes.
You've obviously been either watching or reviewing transcript of evidence that's before the Commission,
I've watched every minute of the proceedings.
and you have obviously heard all the evidence that's been called about the circumstances in which Mr. Ajaka originally went on an extended leave and then his employment was terminated.
Yes.
And I'm just trying to shortcut this, the April meeting of council is where it was determined that he would go on the extended leave.
Yes.
And if we can bring up, please, OLG.001.001.0573. Yes, please. Now, can you see this as a confidential mayoral minute? Subject Chief Executive Officer dated the 24th of April. And if we can move down to the recommendation, you can see the first part is concerns Mr. Ajaka going off on the special leave.
Yes,
And then it's got appoint Mr. Jason Breton, Director in Operations, as Acting Chief Executive Officer until the matter is concluded.
yes,
So that was put forward at the meeting of the 24th of April, which I think commenced at about 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
correct.
Were you contacted by the Mayor before that meeting concerning this recommendation that you be appointed the acting CEO?
No,
So when was the first time you heard of this?
about a minute before I sat in the chair as the acting CEO, I was standing outside chambers with Mr. Ajaka, maybe one other person. As you walk outside chambers, there's a corridor near the men's toilet. We were waiting there, and I was summoned across to the other part of the corridor by the Mayor, and I think Councillor McNaught was there because she was crying, and they said something to we don't want him in chambers because he's intimidating, and Councillor McNaught was upset at that, and you've just been appointed as interim.
Sorry, don't want him, that's Mr. Ajaka.
Yes,
And what an assertion that he was being,
intimidatory towards, the facts are that Councillor McNaught was crying about it, and they asked me to go and approach John Ajaka and ask him not to return to chambers,
all right.
which he refused.
The sequence was that the council meeting started.
Yes,
Mr. Ajaka was seated in his usual position next to Mr. Mannoun, who was the chair. Of the
correct.
meeting. And again, I'm just going to kind of try and shortcut this. When there was the proposal or resolution to move into a closed session, if I can put it, there were some rallying by certain people about not leaving, etc. So there's a period where it's kind of at a stalemate.
Correct.
And then eventually people in the public area of council leave and the council does go into a closed session.
That's what happened. I called the police. The police come, they gave him a move on direction, they moved out of chambers, and then it was closed, including Mr. Ajaka, who was removed from chambers. And I stood with him around in this corridor because the rank and file were in the main area having some pizzas supplied by another councillor, not a councillor now. So.
I'm sorry.
No, go.
Do you know why the council had moved into closed session?
They'd done it once before, Commissioner, and I'd asked Farouk Patelli, what's this about? And he had a doomed look on his face, and it's typically one reason, but it wasn't for the original reason. But it was obvious that at that stage that this may be the other reason why they typically do it.
So you didn't know, but you could put two and two together and reach four pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly. And I think, obviously Mr. Ajaka and I were talking, Mr. Portelli and I were talking, and Farouk's a very, very experienced guy, and I'm just taking his advice, but it looked pretty obvious.
So you were I'm just interested in the period where the council meeting was occurring up until the time there was a resolution to move into closed session. And Mr. Ajaka was sitting there next to the mayor.
Yes.
They dealt with certain items on the order of business.
Yes.
Did you see any evidence that Mr. Ajaka was being intimidating anybody through that?
No.
And when they eventually moved into closed session, Mr. Ajaka wasn't part of the closed session.
No.
So you're summoned by the mayor, and Councillor McNaught there is crying, and the proposition is put that Mr. Ajaka is being intimidating, and they don't want him in the chambers, back in the chamber when council meeting resumed in open session.
That's my perception of what was going on.
And did you approach Mr. Ajaka?
Yes,
And you told him what you were directed to go and ask?
I said that I want you in here.
All right. And eventually, when the council resumed open session, Mr. Ajaka did not resume his seat at that table.
Correct.
It was announced to the council that there was a resolution, and I'm putting it generally, that he go on leave,
Yes,
as set out here, and that you'd been appointed the acting CEO,
yes,
and then you then sat at the particular table to assist the mayor through the rest of the meeting.
correct.
And again, just finishing off your work history, could I just ask you the move for Mr. Ajaka to go on leave and then ultimately his sacking in May, did that all come to as a surprise to you?
Yeah, I can't see how Resolution 1 is valid. Yes, so it came as a surprise. A leave is an application. I'm not sure leave can be resolved. So I was surprised about that condition.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Well, special leave is a condition of employment.
Yeah.
One has to apply for special leave. It's incumbent on the applicant to apply for leave provision.
So your point being that this special leave was imposed, appeared to have been imposed on Mr. Ajaka.
That's my position.
The method of effectively a suspension or a
I certainly didn't understand it at the time, and I probably still don't today.
Okay.
But Pat, sorry, I think the import of your question was once you became aware, once this had been put before you in the open session of the meeting or with your conversation with the mayor and the deputy mayor, and then over the next couple of months, had this come as a surprise to you? Let's start in April. Was it a surprise to you that Mr. Ajaka was validly or otherwise put on special leave?
Yes, and obviously all the ramifications of the resolution then fell on to me.
Yes. But in the lead up to this meeting,
Didn't know about it.
did you have any perception about how the then CEO, Mr. Ajaka, was working with the governing body
Yes,
and the nature of that relationship?
yes,
What was it?
um,
I'm talking about in April,
yes.
putting aside what you might have learnt since, but
No. In April, Mr. Ajaka clearly articulated on a number of occasions that he was having some difficulties.
of what kind?
Just challenges generally in relation to him meeting the expectations of the mayor as it relates to budgetary issues and some of the decisions around those budget implications. And obviously I was aware of the meeting between McNaught, Portelli, Ajaka and Mannoun. I was made aware that afternoon.
Made aware by whom?
John rang me.
Mr. Ajaka rang you.
Correct.
And what did he say to you when he rang you?
he repeated what he said to the mayor. And I said, we better go and find him.
Sorry. Mr. Ajaka informed you about shut the F up,
Correct.
that he had said that to the mayor.
Correct.
And you said,
We better go and find him.
and what did Mr. Ajaka respond?
Okay.
And did you go and find the mayor?
We tried to find the mayor. I tried to find the mayor. I couldn't find the mayor. And then it became clear over the ensuing days that Mel Goodham was John's conduit for trying to settle the mayor. I wanted to get John and the mayor very, very quickly in a room for John to apologise, because that's what he wanted to do.
That's what Mr. Ajaka wanted to do.
That's what he told me he wanted to do.
And on that, sorry, your recollection of Mr. Ajaka ringing you, that was on the same day as we describe it as the swearing meeting.
Correct.
And you tried to find the mayor, and that was to allow Mr. Ajaka to apologise to him.
Correct.
And you couldn't find the mayor on that day?
No, I just wanted to discover where the mayor was, and I was going to, my intention was to get John to go and meet him.
And as you said, after that, it seemed that Councillor Goodman became kind of the conduit between the two gentlemen.
That's correct.
And just finishing up this section, you're acting CEO for a period.
Yes.
The position is advertised.
Yes.
And then if we can bring up INQ.005.001.0002. I think this is the way it's done. If you go through to page 4. Oh, yes, thank you, sorry. We're at the appointment of the CEO, and it's a resolution that basically you be appointed Chief Executive Officer.
Correct.
And that occurred at this meeting on about the 15th of April.
Correct.
And since then you have continued in the role of permanent CEO of Liverpool Council.
Yes.
I was just wondering, Commissioner, if we could just have a relatively short break
Yes.
of about 10 minutes.
Yes, let's do that. We've been going usual time, so we'll just take a short break. Mr. Breton, feel free to stretch your legs. You don't have to sit there the whole time, and we'll resume at 12:10. Thank you.
Mr. Breton, I want to move to a couple of different topics. First topic, I'm going to ask you some questions about an aspect of the June 2024 budget.
Yes.
And its consideration by the council at the June 2024 council meeting.
Okay.
Now, as you have watched every minute of the inquiry, you'll recall that some video footage has been shown of that meeting.
Yes.
I wanted to show you a particular extract of it. Would INQ.011.001.0007 be brought up, please? This can be live streamed. I think we eventually want to move to around the 32-minute mark. Have we got any sound?
For those who'd like to move into closed session, please raise your hands.
Could you just pause for a minute, Mrs.
Yes.
Can I just confirm what time we're at the moment? That's fine.
Play from there.
Yes.
It's a personal matter. Happy to be patient, councillors.
So can we move to go into closed session again?
Yeah, we'll recount the numbers again just to make sure. For those who'd like to move into closed session, please raise your hands. Those against, declare it carried. So thank you, everyone. We have to move into closed session under section, is it 10A2? Oh, where's the exact one? Regarding it because it's a personnel matter. Which is addendum booklet 4, the adoption of the draft delivery budget program for 2022-26 and the operational plan and budget for 2024-25, the statement of revenue, pricing policy, fees and charges, and the long-term financial plan 25-34.
I'm happy to second that, Mr. Mayor.
Great. All those in favour?
Oh, hang on.
Just bring
Just bringing it forward.
Bring it forward. Hold-
All those in favour? Against? Declare carried. It'd be lovely if I had. You can have a. You can go for it. Yeah, I'd like to, if I can move the recommendation first, and I know I'm assuming what you're going to do. I'd like to move the recommendation with a couple of changes. I don't have it. So. Then the booklet 4, I seems to have. No, there. Oh, hold on. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the confidential. My apologies. Sorry. Thank you. I was looking for red. All right. Okay. Yeah, this. Oh, 2. Did I say 4? My apologies. Okay, CFD. Yep. Cool. And thank you. Sorry, I was remiss of me because we went straight into closed session when we went back into a break at a closed session to inform everyone that the rescission motion was lost and the original motion stands. So, okay, so CFD 02, page 864 in the purple booklet, book number 4. I would like to move the recommendation with some adjustments to it. First and foremost, a sum of $620,000 for the suburb of Austral to deliver safety measures, including temporary roundabouts, signage to the following intersections, but not limited to 4th and 5th Avenue, 4th and 6th Avenue.
Can I just, that I don't want to show the whole video again, but can I just ask you, when the mayor moves the recommendation and then says, I've got some adjustments, you would have seen that he extracted a piece of paper that seemed to be part of the various booklets or documents he had in front of him.
Okay.
Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And I don't want to play that at all, but you'll recall that what he's now doing is, as in his words, adjustments, but he's moving amendments to the budget.
Yes.
Did you know before he reached and got that piece of paper that that he was going to do this?
No.
So you weren't alerted to it at all?
Maybe I had some idea about safety improvements in Austral, but not to the specifics of the detail that was described just then.
Well, when you say you may have had knowledge about safety aspects in Austral, did the mayor raise with you beforehand that he intended to make these adjustments from the floor of council?
No, I can't recall. It's a very contemporary issue. It's up tomorrow night.
I'm not interested
No,
in that.
I know,
I'm
but
just asking you about.
No, I can't recall.
And if you want me to, I can play it through, but if you've watched it previously, you would recall, and I'm putting it generally, that questions are asked about, does this have to go to the traffic committee? Or I think it's Councillor Rhodes is concerned about what impact is this going to have on the budget. And you may recall that I think it's Mr. Portelli at one stage is depicted, and he gave evidence that he went over to Mr. Nadan to kind of do some, if I describe it as calculations on the back of an envelope, to try and work out what the impact would have on the council. So what I want to suggest to you from their perspective, they were taken by surprise. The detail and the amounts that the mayor then sets out, were you taken by surprise in respect of those?
Yes, I wasn't aware of that detail.
Right. You knew that he may raise some adjustments dealing broadly with safety in Austral.
Not the adjustment part. What I generally understood, I knew there was a lot of noise around safety measures in Austral.
Mm-hmm.
That's my recollection of this bit.
And again, I think my recollection is that one item that was suggested, which I think was going to be more expensive, was something to do with the women's dressing rooms. Do you recall that?
Yes, that was.
I think it was $1 million.
Yes, 20 women's dressing rooms at $50,000 per dressing room.
Yeah.
That was the approach.
And so that was going to, now an allocation of a sum of $1 million.
Correct.
And at one point, do you recall that you responded during the meeting, there is nothing material that we couldn't deliver, but with a caveat as to whether the women's dressing rooms could be included?
Could be delivered each for 50,000. I was a little bit worried about the hard dollar at 50,000 because every specification is different. Every dressing room is different. How big's a dressing room? So that was the context of why I was concerned.
All right. Can I ask you a general question? While you've either been the acting CEO or the CEO, the use of mayoral minutes, as you know, there has been evidence that mayoral minutes usually are ceremonial in nature, so congratulating somebody who's won an award, or if a member of the community has passed away. But at times there are more substantive mayoral minutes, or moving from, I would describe this as an example of either a mayoral minute or something substantive. Putting to one side the congratulatory community-based mayoral minutes, where there has been a mayoral minute which is more substantive, are you usually informed of it beforehand?
Usually? Is that, I'm just on just a question. Many times not. Many times not. The use of mayoral minutes is something that has been a challenge for the behaviours of council since I've been at council.
And is that issue because at times more substantive matters or complex matters are being raised at the floor of the council without adequate notification to other councillors?
Correct.
B, depending on the matter, it could be without notification to relevant members of the staff of council to ascertain repercussions or whether it's feasible, etc.
Correct.
And also at times where it involves expenditure of money, some kind of double checking as to whether do we have the funds or how does this fit in with budget.
Correct.
I think it's in your code of meeting conduct. It does anticipate that mayoral minutes will be usually utilised for that straightforward ceremonial type.
Yes.
And expressly excludes complex and also if it involves expenditure of money.
Yes.
Is it your observation since you've been at council that those requirements aren't being observed at times?
Yes.
It's in the code of conduct of meeting conduct. Can you make any suggestions to the inquiry as to reform on the use of mayoral minutes?
Apply the code of conduct.
All right. So
The code of meeting practice, yeah.
so
Yes.
black and white as that.
I think it is the genesis of this council in a council argument, this very issue about the issuance of mayoral minutes and their sequence in the proceedings that have caused some angst with councillors suggesting it's council within a council. I think this has to be corrected.
When you use the description, the angst raising council within council,
Yeah.
what are you referring to?
Look, certainly Councillor Dr. Betty Green, Peter Hull, Caress Rhodes, and others have remonstrated on record in chambers as to the non-notification and the lack of advice in relation to the submission of mayoral minutes on things other than the ceremonial things. And this has been a constant position that I wanted to change.
When you say you wanted to change, how would you change it?
Well, something come up in the evidence of Mallard in relation to the email I sent him about stopping communications for 1 week, because the very first chance.
So can I stop you there?
Yep.
I don't want to delve into that type of
Okay.
evidence at the moment,
Okay.
but at this level of council within council, the concerns of, for example, Dr. Green, councillors Hull, etc. You gave an indication previously that it was a matter of read the procedure and comply with the procedure.
Correct.
Your position as the CEO and dealing with the mayor, can you do anything to try and ensure that he complies with the policy? If you say no, that's fine, but
Well, is that a retrospective question? Could I have done something, or can I do something?
No, perhaps. The code of meeting practice, I'm just trying to find it because it might actually help.
it's INQ
thank you.
001.001.001.1136.
Thank you. We might just have that brought up.
And it commences at the bottom of page 18.
Thank you.
Sorry, are you right with that?
Is this the current one, to your knowledge, Mr. Breton, the 26 October 2022? There hasn't been an update since the new council was elected?
No.
And if we go to page 18,
Right down the bottom. It commences.
and then we'll just go over the page so we can see the rest of that clause, and in particular 9.9 and 9.10. Just have a read of that whole section, Mr. Breton. Let me know when you've done that. Take your time.
Yes.
So the procedure is in the right of the mayor to use it, and 9.9 tells us that it must not be used, put without notice matters that are routine and not urgent, or matters for which proper notice should be given because of their complexity. And 9.10 talks about where there's an expenditure of money, the Mayor Mannoun has to identify the source. I think what's being explored with you, given the context that you've set out in your answers, which I might come back to, council within a council, and I think my note you said was there was a challenge for the use of mayoral minutes has been a challenge for the behaviours within the council since you first joined.
Correct.
And by council in that sense, I mean the governing body. What reforms or changes, if I gave you the magic pen to start drawing on this page now, would you make?
Again, I just think it's the consistent application of 9.9 and 9.10, and with particular relevance to proper notice, and the timing of which mayoral minutes are supplied to the governing body as a whole. To even if the complexity is not the threshold, the time to digest a mayoral minute and to make informed, better decisions based on the detail in that minute.
Of course, mayoral minutes form part of, we saw some rather large books sitting on the table that all councillors have to digest
Yep.
for every meeting. I think Mr. Haggerty might have mentioned his understanding that other councils might have a 2-day practice. Are you aware of something similar from your counterpart councils?
Look, I haven't researched it, but it's certainly the pre-preparation of the mayoral minute. There'll be exceptions where it's just impossible to adhere to.
9.9.
But the 9.9 talks to an intent, Commissioner, and I think if the intent is met, it's for the whole of the governing body, and the mayoral minute is in that context. I think adherence to this would be enough.
Do you think that the addition in that section, commencing at 9.6 to 9.10, of a standard 48-hour prior to the council meeting, unless it is the exception, the truly urgent, the recently arisen and the like, would assist to
Yeah.
address some of the matters you've raised?
I do.
Now, Mr. Breton, I'm moving now to a completely different topic, and that on the appropriate folder.
Sorry, would something like that assist the staff as well?
I think they'd be very relieved. Yes. I think
Why?
I think anything where they're, because the staff like rules, and I think even the submission of papers from staff to staff is a challenge for the executive services. There's a whole lot of compilation of documents, and anything that gives them an easier guide into when these things are allowable, I think that's effective for
And to
staff.
prepare for the meeting?
And to prepare for the meeting.
Take your experience of having to address a question about 20, how many change rooms was it? 20.
20 change rooms at 50,000.
I'm conflating the numbers, but
Yeah.
as you rightly said, there's which change rooms where,
Yeah.
size, site issues and the like.
Correct.
And if you'd had some notice of that, you might have been able to give a more informed response, perhaps.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. New topic, councillor training. Now, excuse me for a minute.
Just before you do, whilst I've got this in my mind, are you aware of a discussion paper that was released by government last year, I think, about this very issue, that is the use of mayoral minutes more broadly and whether there should be some changes?
I'm not commissioner, but I'll
That's right. If
make
you're not, that's
myself,
fine.
I'll get around it. I'm just not, I'm not.
But whatever that discussion paper says, I take it you would be in favour of a standard minimum notice.
I would. Yes.
Just following on from the Commissioner's question, if we bring up INQ.011.001.0013, and it could be live stream. Can you see this is, it's headed the model code of meeting practice. If we can just move down that page, you can see writing in purple. They're the suggested amendments to the code. And if we would move through to page 22. Can you see there the proposal, suggested proposal is to get rid of 9.9 and 9.10.
Yes.
And if you look at 9.7, it suggests really it's up to the mayor's discretion to determine what should be considered at the meeting.
Yes.
I know, and you haven't seen this before?
I balance of probabilities. I've seen the amended document. I wasn't, when you made reference to commission, I couldn't.
That's right. You see a lot of documents, it's not a criticism.
I'm not being critical. I want to ask you your view of it,
Yeah.
but if you're having a look at it for the first time now, whether that gives you sufficient time to digest what is proposed.
It appears on face value 9.7 as more concessionary, with words like without notice, any matter. I mean, that's quite a wide interpretation.
And the removal then of any restrictions in 9.9 and 9.10.
Yes,
All council business could theoretically be done through a mayoral minute.
that's by interpreting the alleged new 9.7. Yes, you could do it that way.
And your reaction to that?
Well, it's counterintuitive to a discussion in relation to structure and the timeliness of mayoral minutes. It won't help us at Liverpool if that 9.7 was in play.
And 9.9 and 9.10. no.
Expunged, yeah. No, it wouldn't. No.
Thank you.
I was going to move to training.
Yeah, sorry. I've exhausted my curiosity about mayoral minutes for the moment.
Now, within council, there is a document, councillor induction and professional development policy,
Yes.
dated the 3rd of February, or was adopted on the 3rd of February 2021.
Yes.
Would document INQ.001.001.1142 be brought up, please? That's the first page of the policy. Oh, sorry. Yes, please.
Yes.
And if we move to page 2, just under purpose, you can see the purpose is to demonstrate the council's commitment to ensuring that the mayor and councillors have access to induction and ongoing professional development, which will assist them to develop and maintain the skills and knowledge required to effectively perform their civic role and responsibilities under the Act.
Yes.
And then if you then move to section 3, which is policy, under there's a statement of commitment, which I'll move over, and then 3.2 is headed induction program.
Yes.
And it provides that the council will develop an induction program for new and returning councillors, as well as a supplementary program for the mayor.
Yes.
And then just looking very quickly, 3.2.2 sets out what the induction program will deal with.
Yes.
And if we move to the next page, 3.2.3, in the case of the mayor, the program will also cover, and that's a reference back to the reference in 3.21 to a supplementary program for the mayor.
Correct.
And then also, separate to an induction program under 3.3, we have ongoing professional development program. And if I can draw your attention to 3.3.1, an individual professional development plan will be developed for the mayor and each councillor to address any gaps in the capabilities, knowledge, skills and attributes needed to effectively fulfil their roles. And then 3.3.2, each professional development plan will span the council's term and identify professional development activities that the mayor or councillor will participate in.
Yes.
All right. Now, that was adopted on the 3rd of February 2021. Now, I realise this is before you were employed by the council, but if document LCC.002.001.2583 is brought up, and that can be live streamed. LCC.002.001.2583. Andy. Right, sorry, Ms. Associate, is that up on the system? Can you grab it quickly? You're wonderful, thank you. Yes, please. As I said, you're not at council at this moment, but if we could go to page 2. Down the bottom of that page, can you see an email from somebody at OLG to Peter Diplis, who may have been the acting CEO at the time?
Yes.
And there's a specific request down the bottom, and it's highlighted in yellow. OLG has just delivered a set of 12 webinars for new councillors. All of these, along with PowerPoint slides, are available on the council portal, and some further details about it. And then Circular 2142 outlines the requirement for councils to provide induction training for the newly elected mayor and councillors, and refresher training for returning mayor and councillors within 6 months of the election.
Yes.
And then if we go to the first page of that document, right down the bottom, Mr. Diplis is making some internal inquiries about it. And then if we go to the top of the page, there is a report that all councillors have completed their induction, and indeed the mayor participated in a mayoral induction one-day online forum conducted by Local Government New South Wales.
Yes.
So although you weren't there when this council, I think, was elected around December 2021, it appears that the induction training for councillors and the mayor, as per the policy, had been put in place.
The previous council?
I'm talking about the 21 council.
Yes.
Could we bring up LCC.002.001.5600, please? Can you do your magic, please? Yes, please. And again, this is correspondence. I won't, if you can just accept from me that this is correspondence from the Office of Local Government to Liverpool City Council about the training. And the first dot point you can see up there is confirming the induction refresher training. And then do each of the councillors have a professional development program for the balance of the term? And the answer was yes, it was developed after the manager of council executive services attended the webinar, etc.
Yes.
Just excuse me for a minute. Now, if we then go to July 2024, and this is leading up to the council election in September 2024.
Yes.
By this time, you are the acting CEO.
Yes.
Would the council agenda, being document LCC.010.001.6474 for the council meeting of the 24th of July be brought up, please? Yes, please. You can see from the first page, it's the agenda for the meeting.
Yes.
Would you bring up page 35, please? And can you see this is a motion which the back notes the local government elections coming up on the 14th of September. As elected officials, we understand the importance of knowledge, training and understanding legislation, etc. Recognition that it's imperative that there be suitable training and development. And then the final paragraph, this motion will ensure the incorporation of the OLG induction course Hit the Ground Running, or a comparative orientation course name, in the council's elected officials orientation, training and development plan within the first 6 months of being elected or re-elected.
Yes.
And if you go across the page, that was carried at the meeting.
Yes.
Now, excuse me for a minute. Now, after the election in October 2024, there was a councillor induction day held on about the 15th of October.
Yes.
You spoke at it.
Yes.
A number of the various directors spoke at it.
Yes.
And if you would bring up LCC.001.004.0003, and this can be live streamed. This is the first page of the councillor induction program.
Yes.
If we could move to page 2, it sets out the agenda for that day.
Yes.
And I think, as I just put to you, you can see with the agenda, there are presentations in the morning about IT systems. I think Michelle McElveeney gives a presentation on the Customer and Business Performance Directorate.
Yes.
After morning tea, other directorates such as City Futures and Corporate Support speak.
Yes.
And then you've got lunch. After lunch, you've got at 1 o'clock Code of Conduct, Code of Meeting Practice session. And then after that, at 3 o'clock, further Code of Conduct, Code of Meeting Practice session.
Yes.
And John, is it Oberhart?
Correct.
Is it your understanding that he was, he's not part of the council, he's from an outside organisation who was brought in to provide this particular part of the training?
Correct.
Were all the councillors there? To your recollection?
I can't recollect the exact. My feeling is everybody was there.
Right. Maybe just to quickly answer that before we break for lunch, would document LCC.001.004.0002 be brought up, please? Yes, please. Now, I showed you the agenda. This attendance document only refers to the afternoon sessions concerning Code of Conduct and Code of Meeting Practice training. Can you see that?
Yes.
And maybe if we could squeeze the page or move, yeah. If the signatures indicate attendance at some point, it would appear everybody has signed in.
At some point, yes.
Yes, and in respect of that, if we go to the third entry, it would appear that Councillor Richard Moon arrived at 3:15, jumping down to Councillor Sam Carnib, or he arrived at 3:15.
Yes.
And if we jump to the top entry, the Mayor Ned Mannoun, he left at 3 p.m.
Yes.
I know this is a attendance sheet for those particular sessions, but do you have a recollection whether Councillors Moon and Councillor Carnib attended in the morning and kind of popped out and then came back?
I doubt it, because I'm very confident that the in and out times would have been reflected. Carnib's a practicing lawyer. He was working that day. So I think that is actually as it occurred.
All right. It's an attendance sheet for Code of Conduct, Code of
only for that,
Meeting Practice training.
Yep.
As you're aware, Mr. Breton, many notices have been issued to the council. Notice sought attendance records, and that was what was provided. We weren't provided, and I can double check this, with any attendance sheet for the rest of the day.
Okay.
Do you, off the top of your head, do you know if such a thing existed, or?
Oh, I don't.
Is that a relevant
Yes.
time?
Yes. Mr. Breton, we'll take the luncheon agenda. We'll resume at 2 o'clock. If you wouldn't mind being back here just a moment or so before that, I'd be most grateful.
Yeah.
And we'll adjourn until then. Thank you.
I was asking you some questions about the councillor induction, and this was held on the 15th of August 2024.
Yes.
I had taken you to the policy earlier which identified the need for councillor induction for both new councillors and councillors who have been re-elected, correct?
Yes.
The policy also identified the requirement for the supplementary program for the mayor.
Yes.
Although Mr. Mannoun was the mayor in the 21 to 24 term, he was re-elected mayor in September 24.
Yes.
To your knowledge, has he attended a supplementary program?
Not to my knowledge.
Who within council is responsible for organising the training?
From the executive services perspective, it's Tina Bono, the Director of Community.
I'm sorry, I missed that person's name.
Oh, sorry, Tina Bono, B-O-N-O.
Sorry, I missed her last name. As you know, notices have been served. Again, many documents have been produced, but it doesn't appear that there's any record of the mayor attending the supplementary program for the mayor. Is that consistent with your recollection that that supplementary program or supplementary training hasn't been provided to the mayor for this term of the new council?
I haven't got any direct knowledge of it, but it's highly likely that we probably haven't started the supplementary program for the mayor, given his relative incumbency and the period of which the new council only just started.
Well, it's supposed to be done within 6 months, isn't it?
The training must be done within 6 months, yes. Yeah.
So we're past 6 months from September last year.
Yeah, I'm advised if the supplementary training is also to the 6 month threshold, then I accept that it is. I just haven't got any evidence to provide in relation to whether he has or he hasn't participated in supplementary training.
Is it your responsibility as CEO to, in a sense, have an overview of that training is being offered and people are attending the training?
Well,
I suppose ultimately, because you're the CEO.
look, again, I'm guided by Regulation 185 in relation to the local government regulation, which talks about my requirements in relation to ongoing training and the records thereafter at 186. So yes, ultimately I'm responsible for making sure that the training is contemporary and that it meets the needs of councillors undertaking their civic duties. So my focus is really on steering and making sure that the right kind of training is occurring at periods that are relevant to their civic duties. And we've done some of that in the
We'll
period.
get to that shortly.
Okay. Yep.
All right. Now, in addition, councillors are provided with an induction manual.
Yes.
Would document LCC.010.001.1927 be brought up and it can be live streamed? That's the front page.
Yes.
And if you move to the second page, please, which is the first page of the contents, you'll see right down the bottom of that page, it's got a footer, Councillor Induction Manual 2024.
Yes.
And is it your understanding that with the election of every new council, this councillor induction manual is reviewed
Yes.
and then provided to all councillors, including the mayor?
Yes.
Can we just go back up to the top of that page? Page numbers TBC, is this a draft Do we know?
Excuse me for a minute. The only one, a notice was served for the councillor induction manual, and this was the document was produced.
Right.
So,
That's as far as you can take it.
yes,
Yeah.
as you've notified, it would appear page numbers to be confirmed or whatever that stands for. Mr. Breton, can I ask you, you can see there, as the Commissioner has identified, it's got page numbers TBC, and we've got a couple of numbers, but then for the rest of the page, no numbers appear.
Yes.
And then if we go to the next page, again, an absence of numbers except for section 12 additional information.
Correct.
And also, as a bit of a worry, if we go through to page 102, please. That's additional information.
Yes.
And if we go to the bottom of the page, it's page 102, so not 119. Related to councillors as part of the onboarding. The use of the word onboarding, is that just starting to work as a councillor?
Yeah, my understanding of my interpretation is there's a period from being sworn in to for the progression through induction as part of your onboarding into the organisation.
The use of the word will be circulated to councillors suggests a document.
Yes, typically there's been a number of emails. There's a generic councillor email correspondence address.
Yep.
Called LCC _
Councillors?
councillors. Yes. And that's where the typical circulation would be via. Yes.
All right. I'm not interested in my reference to circulated is that it suggests that there's some kind of document, whether an email or something else that was provided to councillors on this topic.
Yes, there was. Yes.
And what was it?
A number of pieces of advice in relation to their obligations under the Act, and also my obligations as a PCBU.
Well, strictly, you're not a PCBU. You're involved in the management of a PCBU, but you're not actually a person conducting an undertaking or business. But anyway,
Okay.
can I ask you, these documents that were circulated, are they, in a sense, then, like I'm just thinking to the good old days that you would know with Downer, that with safety documents such as safe work method statements, risk assessments, things like that. In the good old days, there'd be a nice folder.
Yes.
So there'd be some kind of gathering of all that relevant information. With these documents, which go to obligations under the Work Health and Safety Act for councillors, were they maintained or kept anywhere?
They would be kept by the safety manager in the safety management system database in a trim folder, because we actually, our SMS, or our safety management system, is run on a payroll database.
We've heard evidence of that. That's
Orion? Orion,
right.
yeah.
But other than a description of emails or other, I think, information, can you assist us? Is it contained in some kind of procedure or policy or?
Yes, the workplace health and safety management policy.
Right. But this is focusing on the councillor obligations. So is there a separate document which fits in with the work health and safety management system, which focuses on a councillor's obligations?
I don't think so. I don't think there's a policy or a procedure as to councillors' WH&S obligations.
All right. So how do they learn about the, and just focusing at the moment around this induction period, what are they either told or provided with at that time?
It's either face-to-face learning, or there could be an online module, or there's part of the induction suite, which references their obligations under the Act.
Right. But you can't assist us in saying this particular document or information sheet or something was circulated as anticipated in that provision around this time.
I can't point to any specific. I mean, in the Downer days, you'd have a circular,
Yeah.
and there'd be a file of the circulars. I don't think we apply that process to that extent.
It's not like an intranet tab with
Yeah, well there is.
resources available to councillors.
All those resources are available to councillors, yes, but that's part of the induction policy and where to find those resources. The wayfinding in relation to the data and their obligations would be on the intranet.
All right.
And does it include this material that you've been taken to? Do you know?
I'd have to refresh my memory with it,
All right.
Commissioner.
Is it possible for you to do that? You'll be returning tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be back.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, I would seek if Mr. Breton overnight could maybe look at that. And if I can clarify, this section, that particular paragraph is looking at councillor, so the obligations of the councillors to work health and safety.
Yes.
You know, to state the obvious, the councillors of PCBU has obligations under the Act, and employees have other obligations under the Work Health and Safety Act. But this is focusing particularly on councillor obligations, which, if I suggest, might have been in a grey area at one stage, how they fitted under and their obligations under the Act. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say, because I just recall we had undertaken some additional training or some additional information in relation to their obligations as the governing body.
Can I just flag the additional training? Is that training that's been undertaken relatively recently?
Training or advice, yes, relatively recently. Yes.
Okay, we'll come to that.
Yep.
Just before you move on, perhaps, so Mr. Breton's clear about what it is that you would like him to have a look at overnight. We might just put that on the transcript. So,
you spoke about information being available to councillors via the intranet.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything on that intranet which assists councillors as to their obligations under the Work Health and Safety Act.
Clear.
And if there is, when it was entered into the intranet.
Understood.
Okay.
or circulated by
Or
an email circulator,
Understood.
circular or the like. Thank you.
All right. Excuse me for a minute. Excuse me. Oh. Excuse me for a minute. Now, would we go to page 32 of this document? down towards the bottom of the page, there's a subheading Code of Conduct.
Yes.
And that is sets out in a broad fashion as it says, the responsibilities of councillors to comply with the Code of Conduct.
Yes.
Then at the bottom of the page, we move to probity.
Yes.
And then across on the next page, page 33, we have conflict of interest, and then down the bottom, disclosing a conflict of interest.
Yes.
And I showed you before lunch the agenda for the induction. There were, at least I think after lunchtime, there were 2 special sections or sessions which dealt with the Code of Conduct and also the Code of Meeting Practice.
Yes.
Could we go back to the councillor induction and professional development policy, which is INQ.001.001.1142? And this time, under section on page 2, I took you to the induction program.
Just catching up.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
I beg your pardon? Yes, sorry. If we go to page 2, and I took you down the bottom to the induction program.
Yes.
Then across the page, we've got the Mayor's supplementary program, and then under section 3.3, we've got ongoing professional development program, and we've got an individual professional development plan will be developed for the Mayor and each councillor to address gaps. And I think I took you to the requirements here. The ongoing professional development program for the Mayor and each councillor, how has that progressed? Can I just give you an example?
Yes.
In a normal workplace, a supervisor would sit down with an employee and they might have a discussion about gaps in their skills, gaps in their knowledge, what type of ongoing training they would like to receive. And often a training program is then developed for the employee. With the councillors, which states an individual professional development plan will be developed for the Mayor and each councillor. Is there any facility provided by the council to assist them in developing the individual professional development plan? Or is it up to councillors just to nominate things?
No, it's a bit of each. So when I see an opportunity that's typically by local government New South Wales or one of the bodies that has some relevance to our work or some relevance to their work as councillors, I will share that information with them and offer up that opportunity. This happens relatively regularly. Those kind of opportunities come up. And we'll flick them around and see who's of interest on those opportunities. The other way we do it, of course, is we have a sequence of training activities post-induction where the opportunity presents to have days away with councillors where we might schedule a few of these things on contemporary subjects. And the individual plans of those councillors are then held by executive services. It could probably do with a more structured, methodical approach led by circumstance. That is, if we're having a series of issues on code of conducts, then I would expect under 185 of the reg that was the kind of ongoing training that we would focus on by necessity, and we have done that. And then the other opportunities will come really around the councillors' appetite for professional growth. One of the things in professional growth, one of the things I'd be very desirous on is financial literacy, for example, and I don't see that anywhere. So these kind of things which allow the councillors to make better decisions, that would be my focus.
So your example of financial literacy, is that, putting it broadly, this is a balance sheet, this is a profit and loss, this is a cash flow statement, this is how you read it or interpret it.
That's what I'd like to see, yeah. Yep.
You'd like to see?
Yeah, these are, again, when I look at the training opportunities, they are quite vanilla. They're around process and policy. But what the real key issues for councils in this day and age is some of those subjects which allow them to have a better understanding of the decision analytics and why they're making a decision that has a material implication on council. So they're the kind of subjects that I see 185 talks to for me, not so much the induction and the framework and the rules and the guidelines, but more of how can we be better councillors?
You mentioned in respect of an individual professional development plan, is it your understanding that within council, the mayor and each councillor, in a sense, has a plan that they can add to or develop over the financial year?
No, I think plan's an overstatement. I think what we do is we collect the artefacts of their training and we put it into a folder against their name. I think that needs to be a more proactive. My understanding is I don't think we're proactive enough about doing that. I think that's an opportunity for us.
So tell me if I've got the wrong end of this, but I would read 3.3.1 as indicating that early on in the term or in perhaps each financial year, there would be, perhaps with the assistance of yourself or another member of the executive team, a plan that is looking forward to identify training opportunities to upskill, be it around core processes, code of meeting practice, code of conduct and the like, or, for example, financial literacy. You might have someone on council who's a CFO of a large company.
Yep.
Maybe they don't need the financial literacy 101, but you might have someone else who's new to it and the like. Tell me if you think my reading of 3.3.1 is wrong in any way?
I don't think so. I think but in practice, I think we collect the councillors and it's less individual than that. I think it's what are the kind of things we need, and we do that and we satisfy that. And I'm quite satisfied that executive services have done a plan for the councillors.
Yes.
Whether it's bespoke enough to manage,
Not perhaps individual.
That's something I think we can look at and seek to individualise it based on their requirement set, rather than us telling them what we think they should know.
And based on, and tell me if I've misunderstood you in any way, but based on your answers to council assisting, I gleaned the impression that opportunities come up throughout the year in a perhaps regular but rather ad hoc way. Councillors, if you're interested, you're free to take them up rather than being it as a more structured professional development plan.
Yeah, in a true sense, I think the CEO would sit down with each councillor and perhaps have a conversation about where they see their needs and requirements set as it relates to any deficiency in their civic duties.
And that would it in addition to what I'll call core councillor skills, that is a detailed and working understanding of the code of meeting practice and the code of
Yep.
conduct,
Yep.
councillor staff interaction policies and the like.
Yeah, that's would be the nirvana piece, that it's bespoke to individuals on the top of those fundamentals.
One of the advantages of sitting down individually with councillors and having a discussion with them along the lines of, well, is there any particular area that you would like your schools developed? And using as an example financial literacy, the advantage of that is if you've got a number of councillors who individually nominate, that's a skill I'd like to develop, you can then organise somebody to come into council and conduct a course or conduct a lecture or something like that, instead of maybe saying to the councillor, oh, look, there's outside lectures or
Correct.
seminars on that topic that I can suggest to you or something like that. So there would be advantages of having those individual discussions with the councillors to work out what they see a deficiency in their skill set and how you can then address it.
Agreed.
And again, do you know if any council approaches, any other council approaches it in that way?
I don't. Not to the detail described in our own policy, whether they're individual plans. Yep.
Now, still on the policy, would you move to page 4, please? And down the bottom, reporting. This provides that the CEO will publicly report in the council's annual reports the name of the mayor and each individual councillor that completed the induction, then name of the mayor, each councillor who participated in any ongoing professional development, number of training and other activities provided to the mayor and councillors, and then the total cost. Can I just ask, the annual report for the last financial year, has that been issued yet? So for 24-25?
No, for just the one that's just finished, no, I don't think the actual report has been finalised.
If I can bring up 23-24.
It's due in about November, isn't it, Mr. Breton?
Yes, yeah, by the time it gets compiled. And
if you could bring up, please, INQ.001.001.0354, and it can be live streamed. The annual report 2023-24.
yes,
Would you go through to page 89, please? And under section 5.7, this appears to be the section of the annual report that seeks to comply with those reporting requirements.
yes,
And there, the first Roman 1 reports the mayor and councillors did not participate in induction training, refresher or supplementary courses in 23-24. An induction program will be delivered post the next election. I'll just go through this. In Roman 2, the ongoing professional development program, you've got the mayor and the councillors listed participated in ongoing professional development. And then under Roman 3, a total of 5 training sessions and other activities were provided to the mayor as part of a professional development program. And then I think, does it continue? No, it doesn't. So if we go back, anyway, the reference to, and when this report was prepared, were you the acting CEO at that time?
Yes.
Though obviously the acting CEO for April, May and June for that financial year, the total of 5 training sessions and other activities, off the top of your head, do you know what they were?
No.
Where in Roman 1 it speaks about, I understand induction training, I understand the concept of refresher, but supplementary courses, do you think that?
Is a reference to the mayor.
So that's a reference to that requirement that I took you to beforehand.
Correct.
So what Roman 1 is really saying is we're coming up to the end of the council term. We haven't done any induction training, refresher or supplementary courses, but this is a program will be delivered post the upcoming election.
Yes.
Could you excuse me for a minute?
In Roman 2, not all of the councillors appear.
They don't, Commissioner. And our response here corroborates the lack of granular detail in relation to bespoke individual plans. It doesn't talk to it. And there's an opportunity here. 186 clearly is the response requirement of the regulation.
Yeah.
But what it doesn't do, it actually doesn't talk to the policy. And,
Yeah.
and what,
So if
what
I were, I'm sorry, you go.
what I'd like to see is Councillor Hale and maybe the things that he had done.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the fact that one or more councillors doesn't appear in 5.72, do I take that
By inference, didn't do anything.
they didn't do any of the training
Yep.
contemplated by regulation clause 185?
Correct. And I think there's a different way to display this year.
In what way?
Well, I think we need to, if they as they are individuals and they deserve an individual development plan.
Yeah.
If Councillor Hale had done nothing this year, then he should be recorded as doing no additional training. And that might be subject to a discussion where he doesn't want any, right? Or subject to the fact he was not offered something. But I think we have to get to that level because that's what our own policy asks us to do.
Inclusion under professional development and training courses. Can I ask you generally, there are obviously courses such as bringing somebody in from outside to give a lecture on work health and safety, for example. That would clearly be a personal development and training provided to the councillors if they wish to take it up. I'm just using examples at the moment.
Yeah, I think safety, I don't think it's a great example because I would expect that to be mandatory, right? Professional development to me looks like is developing the profession of being a counsellor. So a course that aligns itself with that initiative.
All right. So, and that can be done by attending conferences.
It could, and they do, yes.
Attending in-house lectures or seminars on particular topics.
Yes.
We've heard evidence over the inquiry, for example, in the lead up to the budget, that councillors would be attending briefing sessions at various stages of that preparation of the budget process.
Yes.
The briefing sessions, I think our understanding was that that was looking at, this is the draft budget, this is what we're looking at, it's going to be in surplus, etc. So the councillors have a chance to understand where the budget may be headed and whether they want to make submissions or try and change something within the draft budget. Is that put very roughly?
That's okay. I just put okay. I think what those sessions do is allow the councillors to look at some pink flags. Okay, so if a trajectory or budgets or a trajectory is so inverse that we're looking towards a problem, that we give them an early forecast. Certainly, we are now saturating our councillors in this kind of detail, much more so than we had done before at their request.
And what's a pink flag?
Oh, a pink flag is a potential red flag. So, if we, the more,
Making its way up the Pantone.
I guess the more opportunity we can to meet with councillors and talk them through where the potential touch points might be, allows them to at least ask the question or be aware, no surprises, when a adverse position occurs. It's not a surprise. Where I think previously, we've been, the staff have been a little bit guilty about that's it, and how do you want to fix it?
The council.
They're not training opportunities.
No,
Yeah.
no, they're not
That's
training
the point.
opportunities.
Yeah.
They're not training opportunities.
Yeah.
You
You use the word mandatory in relation to work health and safety
Yeah.
training. None of this training is at the moment mandatory in the sense that the regs speak of using reasonable efforts, I think.
But under the Workplace Health and Safety Act, you would argue that there are some mandatory obligations in relation to the workforce or the workers.
Leaving that
Yeah.
nuance to one side,
Yeah.
do you think there would be benefit in having some form of mandatory training for councillors and mayors?
Yes, Commissioner. I think the word mandatory did in fact appear in an artifact today in relation to your attendance at the induction.
Yeah.
I think that, but yes, I think the more consistent the training is across New South Wales councils, the better. I think that's the secret.
And what sort of things, topics do you think are amenable to mandatory type of, I think the mandatory language was in the council's own policy rather than the regulation.
Yeah. There you go.
Which is perhaps where
Clearly, the topic of the day is psychosocial welfare. And clearly the other safety issue is in relation to workplace health and safety as it relates to social media. And these kind of topics are contemporary, real, and are being felt. And I think that they go across councils. I don't think we are unique.
what about what I described as core councillor skills earlier, those core skills in understanding your function, understanding the difference between the role of the governing body and the operational arm, understanding the obligations of the Act, Code of Conduct, Code of Meeting Practice. Do you think that would benefit from an elevation from reasonable efforts to attend such training to these are things that every councillor in the state, regardless of size and the location of the council, should have in their kit bag?
Absolutely, because I believe that the deficiency in the training is brought out in the residual behaviours. That is, if you haven't trained and even practiced a dummy run, for example, if you haven't practiced your requirements as a councillor in chambers, then that can lead to behavioural issues and understanding the ramifications of the requirements of your civic duties and the code of conduct and these things. I think I think that would be advantageous, and this is because councillors churn. We're finding 60 to 70% of new councillors at each council.
But even for experienced councillors doing some of those core skills from time to time, would there be a benefit in your view?
Absolutely.
Would you bring up document LCC.014.002.0544? and it can be live streamed. No, I like it. Now, looking at that document, can you see it's headed personal development and training courses for councillors 2024?
Yes.
Now, if you look at the first entry, I think there might be a typo because it's recording on the 15th of October 2025. There was councillor induction.
Yes.
So that should be 15 October 2024.
Yes.
And you can see there with the various columns, company reason, and then we've got attendees, councillors and a list, and then notes councillors took their declaration of office on Friday the 11th.
And the date's wrong again, but yes.
Yes. If you go to the next entry, and I'm just getting an understanding of how this document works, we've got an entry for the 17th to the 19th of November.
Yeah.
When it's got company and LG New South Wales, that's local government New South Wales.
Correct, yes.
Company suggests that it's the entity that's providing the training.
It does.
This is an annual conference.
At Tamworth this year, yes.
Sorry, it was held at...
It was at Tamworth here between the 17th and the 19th.
Right. Then the staff, we can see who attended and you're listed there. And then we've got Mayor Mannoun, then councillors McNaught, Amoon, Carnib, Ibrahim and Harte.
Yes.
And then there's something about who paid for what or whatever. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Then if we turn to the next entry, memo sent in issue 41 of councillor update. Again, the entity is Local Government New South Wales. It's got professional development opportunities. And then when we look at councillors, there's the Mayor, Amoon, Green, Ristevski, McNaught and Harte. Looking at that entry, can you interpret that for us?
No.
Right.
There's a Local Government New South Wales flyer or e-flyer.
Yeah.
And clearly that's issue 41 of that notice and it's been sent to the councillors. I don't understand why it appears here because the memo would have had some training opportunities therein and all the councillors would have got the same memo. So that's why I can't answer it.
Tell me if this is unreasonable, but I would read that as recording, as you've just described, something listing professional development opportunities was sent to councillors as opposed to recording that they took them up.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. You probably can't assist us with this. Do you know only why a certain subset of councillors are listed there? But if you can't, don't worry about it.
There's political parity in the document, but no, I don't know.
Right. If we look at the next two entries, we've got the Atropolis Conference, which was held on the 12th of November 2024. Relatively straightforward what that's about. So it's an outside, sorry, what I'm saying is it appears to be an outside conference run by the Atropolis Conference and certain people attended it.
No, certain people were offered it by the look of it. In column 4, it's vacant.
Well, that's
staff.
That's staff.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah, so no staff went and those councillors went, and it was actually, if we went to our original definition of company, if City Futures organised it, it should read Liverpool Council in that column 2.
I know you're not recorded there, but did you attend that conference?
No.
The last one is the 8th Annual Domestic and Family Violence Conference, and it would appear that Councillor Dr. Betty Green attended that.
Yes.
And again, would that suggest that as part of Councillor Dr. Betty Green's individual professional development plan, she attended that conference as part of that?
No. With this one, it came up, and it may have been as part of one of those memos. And I actually sent the email out, and she said, Jason, I'd like to go to it. So it was the inverse of me sitting down with her.
I'm sorry. The sitting down, my suggestion to you of the advantages of you sitting down with councillors once a year, that was more a hypothetical suggestion of a way of progressing training in the future. That doesn't exist at the moment, but as you've said, if something comes across your desk from either OLG, Local Government New South Wales or whatever, and you think councillors would really benefit for this, or a particular council might benefit from this or be interested in this, you would send them information.
That's correct.
So what I'm saying here, because it's recorded actually in the courses for councillors 2024, that would appear to be a course attended by Dr. Betty Green.
Correct.
And that, even though you don't have an individual conversation with her, that might be considered to be part of Councillor Dr. Betty Green's individual professional development plan.
Correct.
Now, if we can then move down the page. On the 29th of November, there was the Boom Town Property and Infrastructure Summit, and that appears to have been attended by Councillor Ristevski.
Yes.
And again, without going in, does that suggest that again it's part of Councillor Ristevski's attendance was part of his professional development plan?
Yes.
Well, it's not a forward-looking plan. It's more an opportunistic. I don't say that critically of
Yeah.
the councillor or the.
No, that's exactly what it is.
It's an
Yeah.
ad hoc opportunity that
The
arises.
opportunity came up. Councillor Ristevski asked to attend, and we facilitated it.
Now, the entry on the 3rd of December, which is the Community Strategic Plan Workshop, was that a workshop for councillors which was looking at either revising or possible amendment or further development of the Community Strategic Plan?
It was
And it was held in-house at the council?
in the boardroom, yes.
Why is that included as part of the personal development and training course? And again, this is just from looking at what is described there. It seems to be something which the councillors are looking at as part of their job, that ultimately an amended community strategic plan may come to council and they're having input into what's in it in the current plan, how it could be reformed or amended.
Yeah, I mean, it is a training opportunity. I mean, the CSPs is a strategic plan that must be revised on a new council, and this workshop was facilitated by an external, allowing the councillors to understand the relative importance of the CSP and how they have to input into the CSP delivery.
It doesn't record an outside agency involved.
No, but I recollect it was. Yeah. There was a facilitator, a strategic facilitator.
All right. The next one, which appears subsequently a number of times, a CEO role briefing for councillors with Oceans Group. Was that to do with, oh, you might not be able to answer this. Was this to do with the CEO recruitment process?
The one that fell over.
Yes.
Yes, not the one that ultimately led to my position. Oceans Group ran the first process,
Yes.
which did not progress.
Yes. So again, this is some briefing for councillors. Again, I just question why that's included in professional development and training. You might not be able to answer because.
Well, again, you can connect it to the recent employment of a CEO policy, the new CEO policy. You could make an argument that the briefing about how to engage a CEO is part of ongoing training because it now is part of a policy. So there can be a connection there, but I understand it.
You just referred to the new.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, the new CEO as in you. Not
No, there's a new policy that deals with the engagement, onboarding and termination of a CEO.
This is, the source is Office of Local Government.
It's based off their model policy, but this was a policy endorsed in the July council meeting of Liverpool City Council.
July of this year.
Yes. And it deals with all things CEO.
And just out of interest, if we move to the one on the 20th of January, can you see understanding local government finances for councillors?
Yes.
Councillor Ibrahim attended, she attended online.
Yes.
So I would suggest that's an example, at least for Councillor Ibrahim, of a course that she's doing as part of her professional development plan.
Yes.
Do you think there's, as part of an enhancement of the training function, if I can describe it in that way, there's opportunities to improve record keeping of what was delivered, the content, to whom, when, and the like?
Yeah, I do, Commissioner. I just think the missing link is not only the physical opportunity we described in the conversation, but at the end of the year, what I really want to know is, if I talk about Councillor Hale again, what he's done during that period, and then report it via our own policy in the annual report.
Could we?
I'm sorry, and also the amount of time dedicated to training, that would be something important to know.
Yes.
To calibrate whether one was placing to make sure one was not placing an undue burden on councillors who are already taking on board a very significant role.
Excuse me for a minute. Can I take you to one that was cancelled, but on Wednesday, the 12th of March, the media training, session 1. And then on the 25th of March, media, oh, sorry, we've gone. Have you got the number still? Thank you.
March, did you say?
There's one for the 12th of March, which was media training. And next to it, it's got councillor onboarding requirement. And then it's got postponed due to unexpected circumstances of presenter sick. Just the reference to councillor onboarding requirement, does that indicate that it's one of those courses or seminars which it is recommended for new councillors.
Yes,
But picking up from a question by the Commissioner, it's not mandatory.
correct.
And then if we go down to the 25th of March, you'll see there that you had media training session 2, which was conducted.
Yes,
And the note is no documents were provided to councillors. It was discussion only. Media session 1 and 2 were combined. Do you know off the top of your head what's covered under media training?
no. Oh, man, generically I do, but no, I can't tell you the agenda.
And if, for example, the Commissioner was interested in the actual content of that training, is there some kind of record kept of this was what was covered? If there were PowerPoint slides put up, a record of those?
Yeah, those artefacts exist, yes.
Are they held in a central repository, or would one have to go to the?
No, they'd be available in a trim folder on training under the subject heading.
If you would go through down to the 29th of April, please. And this is government and risk management.
Yeah, we're still working with the wrong dates here, aren't we?
Well, it's 29th of April,
No,
2025.
this is the current council.
Okay, yes. Okay, yes.
Based on the attendees, I think we're in the current term. Would you attend these that were delivered in-house?
Sometimes I do, Commissioner. A lot of the column's blank on most of it. There's somebody must have been there, so I'm suspicious about that. But sometimes I do. Yep.
Again, you can see that it's marked as councillor onboarding.
Yes.
So a recommended part of the new council, I'll say, attending.
Yes.
Do you know what's covered under government and risk management?
I don't know the exact topics.
General area of what?
I hold a Masters of Risk Management, so I understand what risk management is.
Yeah. But risks can arise in all areas of organisations.
Yes.
Is this concentrating on a particular? If you don't know,
I don't
should quiz you if you're not sure.
I don't know.
There's a series of conferences that are recorded in this schedule, and there's one there from the 6th to the 8th of May. But I just use that as an example rather than that one in particular. But do you have a view about whether conferences fit within personal development training as a matter of course?
Yes, I have a view, Commissioner. I don't go to them.
Now, that would be content dependent, of course, as to whether it would satisfy it.
Yeah. There was a correlation in this one in that we were an aerotropolis city. So clearly there's a connection in this instance. And I just like to see the benefit. I want something back if I send somebody to a conference. There has to be a real reason. In fact, we're going to a couple of artificial intelligence conferences for local government, something I'm fascinated by, but really keen on not just sitting and listening, to see what we're doing in relation to that space.
So that might be personal or professional development training. I suppose the import of my question is, without knowing the content of what was delivered at the conference, it's a little bit hard to judge as to whether it's something that falls within a program of the kind contemplated by the regulations. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Can I just ask, and this isn't a question which is supposed to invoke the nanny state, but for example, if we could go back to the first page in this document, the attendance, I think you said it was at Tamworth of Local Government New South Wales Annual Conference.
Yes.
Now, some members of staff and also the mayor and a number of councillors attended. And this is where the nanny state comes into play. Obviously, there's a cost involved because there'll be a charge for the conference, you've got accommodation and possibly travel. Is there any kind of requirement that if you say you're attending such a conference, that you attend sessions and participate in the conference? And I do apologise, it's probably a bit nanny state, but you can understand where I'm coming from.
My expectation is that if you are going to a conference, particularly if there's travel and accommodation involved, that you would actually attend the conference.
Mm-hmm. Is there any reporting back? And again, not wanting to be very prescriptive of, tick off, I attended this conference, but any kind of feedback or, and again, it sounds like being at school, a report on what I learned at the conference, but you know where I'm kind of coming from.
In this instance, no, and not at this level. So all the directors and all the councillors were invited to this one. There's a reference to ALGA, or Australian Local Government Conference. So this one and ALGA are the two ones where you'd expect the council laws to attend, as they do from all around Australia. But no, there's no homework sheet to fill in when they come back, and no, there's no audit of who attended. If I was at the conference, I'm not looking around to make sure they're all in attendance.
Okay. Can we return? I want to now just focus on training for work health and safety. And before I do that, I actually forgot that. Could you go through in this document to, it's probably about page 4. Keep on going. And it's not there. Keep on going. Yes, there it is. This document seems to be at least a record of certain training and then a record of who attended. And there's different colours, which I'm not too sure whether... Is there a... there, thank you. It's down the bottom. Blue is councillor onboarding training, and I assume that if underneath your name against a particular course or training there, it's coloured in blue, that means that you've attended.
I just can't see the key. Sorry, there's a colour key, but
If we go,
yes, yep,
you see that?
yes, non-attendant. Yeah.
And then you've got different colours for external conference training for the budget, and then there's a distinction between budget review and CSP. What's CSP?
A community strategic plan.
Right, that I took you to. Thank you. And also councillor onboarding training, and also CEO recruitment intermodal. And also at times, if people didn't attend, it's indicated by the yellow non-attendance.
Yes.
This particular record or spreadsheet, is it your understanding that this is something compiled by council staff when I think it would arise from primarily performing or providing the training or course or seminar or whatever it is in-house?
Correct. And it would become the information sheet to report in the annual report.
Right. Now,
Although
just,
it's not yellow in some of the white spaces written, I would read that as the white spaces as being non-attendant. You interpret it differently?
I wish I had a reference under the legend for white spaces. Because in the end, only the yellow, the different colours are just categorisations of.
Correct.
Yep.
And I read where the colours are filled under each of the councillor names as recording their attendance.
Yep.
Although some of the squares are marked non-attendance where there is no colour under a councillor name, I would read that as that councillor not having attended.
That's right. And we can look at the 5th annual Aerotropolis one, and your assumption's correct, because I assume Councillor Rostevsky's the councillor on the right, and he was the only one that was there. Yep.
Let's just go back up to test that.
Yep.
There. Okay. Thank you.
and the yellow designated with the words non-attendance appears to be where there was, I'll say, requirement or expectation, if we can put it that high, of attendance.
My assumption here is that a yellow non-attendance indicates a desire or an intent to attend and they did not. And the reason I say that is if I go to Betty Green on the second line, she was the only one that wanted to go to the domestic violence conference. The others didn't express an interest. So they're white. Emmanuel Ajayi expressed an interest but did not attend. So the white is, I'm not interested and you weren't expected to go. And the other ones was you said you were going to go and you didn't.
And if we have a look at about 0.8 down the line, councillor budget induction and briefing, that might be marked yellow non-attendance because that's part of the induction process at which there was an expectation of attendance.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes.
But again, this type of thing could be enhanced in the way that we discussed earlier.
Agreed.
Would we go back towards the beginning of the document? I'm looking for an entry on Tuesday, the 25th of February. Yes. Can you see there that the external body is Clayton Utes?
Yes.
WHS briefing during councillor briefing session. And then the description is external company provided a 30-minute presentation. Presentation and meeting recording is available on the councillor intranet. And can I just understand there's three, there's one column where it commences with the mayor and then next line is Councillor Adji, correct?
Yes.
And on the other, I'm just wondering why, if you can explain why there's two columns with councillor names in it.
Yeah, I can. So this briefing, we sometimes will dovetail a purpose briefing like workplace health and safety onto a councillor briefing sessions because the majority of the councillor briefing sessions are attended by all the councillors. On this occasion, the middle column shows the councillors that were in situ. Carnib and Monaghan were both working and Rostevsky was away.
All right. And so when you say it's kind of dovetailed onto a briefing session, this is a regular briefing session to councillors about a particular item or matter that's going to come up.
Yes, or a number of matters, or a week before a council meeting, we might hold a briefing session. And typically it's about efficiencies. For example, Councillor McNaught takes Tuesdays off. So we try and exploit Tuesdays for that opportunity. So we've changed our sequence of meetings now for afternoon meetings because, again, Mr. Carney and Monaghan are both practicing lawyers, not finished until 5 o'clock.
All right.
So, and that's the rationale behind this.
All right. And the notes that I referred you to, there was some kind of presentation. There's been a recording of that, and that's available on the councillor intranet.
Correct. And that satisfies their attendance.
If they, for example, if Councillor Knib subsequently watched it.
Correct. That's the expectation.
And again, turning to my nanny state frame of mind, does he report that or?
Oh, the answer's no. No, I mean, my expectation is they absolutely would have been advised that there's a 30-minute video available because you can't meet it, but nobody has stood over the back of them, or I don't have an understanding of whether they watch the whole 30 minutes. Yeah.
Excuse me for a minute. Would document LCC.014.002.0547 be brought up? Sorry, if you can just. And try it again. You see, oh no, you don't. Not up there yet, sorry. Should. What is? Right, this is an email from Michelle McAviney about the Councillor Workplace Health and Safety inductions on the 1st of May 2025. And you can see she says, a quick note to let you know the WHS induction that was scheduled for tomorrow evening is being rescheduled to the 7th of July due to availability. And attached is the memo circulated for your information. Oh, yes, sorry. Sorry. All right, so I just referred you to that email. It has an attachment. And would you bring up LCC.014.002.0548? This is the memo referring to the workplace health and safety inductions. And if we move down the page, it says as part of the onboarding of our new council, we are required to provide a workplace health and safety overview. And then there's a reference to where they've sourced material. Then it sets out what the workshop will consist of. And if we move down the page, we've got part 1 about recent changes to legislation requiring management of psychosocial risks. Part 2, understanding how the Act relates to psychosocial hazards. And then across the page, part 3, dealing with the Act role of safe work. And then it would appear, because there's a reference to a facilitator, Michael McMahon, you're bringing in an outsider to present this workshop.
Yes.
Would you go back to the previous page? I know you've been asked some questions about this, but can I just confirm where it says as part of the onboarding of our new council, we are required to provide the work health and safety overview. The requirement to provide such an overview, from answers that you've given previously, does that arise because of your construction of the Work Health and Safety Act and information that's got to be provided to people covered by the Act? Or was it something under the Local Government Act or from Local Government New South Wales?
I think it's underpinned by the Workplace Health and Safety Act in relation to 360-degree consultation and the requirements of the Act.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's supported by the induction requirements.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yell at me as soon as I refer to a document. And then again, the use of the word onboarding, that indicates that this is part of the information that we've got to provide to our new council.
Yes.
But is it your view that it's mandatory or not mandatory for example, the mayor and the councillors to attend?
It describes the workshop in the next paragraph as compulsory rather than mandatory. My view is these are mandatory requirements. These are baseline requirements of any new workplace. And again, if I looked at the subjects, yes, it's my view that were not only required, but needed at the time.
And from that answer, the source of that compulsion appears to be not in local government legislation, but in something like the Work Health and Safety Act.
Yes, I think the timing of this training is important because Safe Work New South Wales had some interventions between the 26th of February and this date, and a very thorough Kathy Maltby, I think her name was, had come up and given us a bit of a roadmap in relation to making sure some of this training was thorough, robust and undertaken.
Would you then bring up document LCC.022.001.0042? And you can live stream it. Would you go to page 2 to begin with? This is from Council support dated the 3rd of July. But if you move towards the bottom of that page, we've got in a larger font and bold, the workshop is compulsory. Mayor will attend via MS Team.
Yes.
And then if we go to the next page, I think there's just like a cut and paste on the previous information provided.
Yes.
If we go back to page 2, the email that's up there from Councillor Ristevski, he says, I cannot make this as I've previously emailed. I have a prior event that's been booked months in advance that I will not get out of.
Okay.
And then if we go back to page 1 of that document, you respond with, we go a little bit down, Councillor will record your apology.
Yes.
Could we jump back? And it's your understanding that the workshop took place.
Yes.
And would we go back to the document LCC.014.002.0544? And it could be live streamed. And I want to go to an entry on Monday, the 7th of July.
Yes.
This refers to that workplace health and safety induction, and it would, if we're looking at who attended, it lists who attended, and then we've got a number of apologies, not only Councillor Rustesky, but Councillor Ibrahim, Carnib, Green and Monaghan.
Yes.
And is it, again, the content of this course, do you know, like I know you had an outside facilitator come in and conduct it. Do you know, were there any PowerPoint or documents or summaries or anything like that produced?
There were.
And have they been recorded or, put on the councillor intranet?
I don't know if that's the case, but they've been kept in their appropriate spot. Whether they've all been put on the internet, I'm not sure.
Right.
And this is again for the purpose. I mean, obviously we knew that Mr. Ristevski was not coming, and at a point of time, the next 4 dropped out. These things are quite costly too. They're not cheap. External provider, so it is a source of frustration for the staff.
This may reflect Mr. McMahon, the facilitator's requirements, but do you know whether a video of the presentation was kept?
I don't know if a video was made of the presentation.
Sorry, was made?
I don't know. Typically, the collateral would be a pack, a PowerPoint pack, which would be spoken to, and then the apologies would be given access to that pack.
Right. Do you know if that's occurred?
No, I don't.
Could you add that to your list of checking overnight?
That's my homework. Yeah.
Curious
Yep.
to know.
Yep.
You mentioned in an earlier answer that the timing of this particular training package was important to note because there'd been some safe work interventions. We might come to the detail of it in a moment, later in your evidence perhaps, but did any of those interventions prompt this training or require it in any way?
Yes, the council meeting on the 26th of February. Safe work were in my office on the 27th of February.
All right. But those interventions, did they They didn't get to the stage of an enforceable undertaking or the like?
They did not, because we followed SafeWorks advice 100%.
And did that advice extend to this delivering this type of training?
It did. With the subject content particularly.
And did SafeWork have an input into the content?
They did. They suggested what might be in our training package.
And this is again, building on your experience at Downer, where work health and safety is often things like you fall from a ladder or something in a sense physical. It would appear from the documents I've taken you to in that last memo is this is focusing on psychosocial hazards.
It is.
Which within the work health and safety space is something, I'll say, relatively new.
Yes, I agree.
The involvement in Inspector Kathy Maltby, we will come to this probably tomorrow, but just foreshadowing it, there was some kind of notification of a hazard or a risk to safe work.
Yes.
And that notification prompted Inspector Maltby contacting either you or maybe Michelle.
It was me the very next day. It might have been either Michelle. It was the result of an email at 11:17 p.m. on the 26th of February, which I authored.
And over the period, Inspector Maltby was involved in coming out and discussing work health and safety matters with you.
A number of times.
And your evidence is her recommendations to you, you took on board and implemented.
Followed to a T.
And when I use the word implementation, following on from the Commissioner's question, there was no improvement notice or prohibition notice issued?
No, we acted swiftly and there was no need. Well, obviously there was no need for that because none was issued.
But it was just, as you said, it was a matter of recommendations and your evidence is that you followed them to a T.
Correct.
I was going to move from training. Commissioner, was there anything else at this point that you wish to ask about it?
I'll wait. Will you get to safe work in a more organic way than jumping ahead?
I am moving to another topic, which will take me longer than the time up to 4 p.m. I was going to seek an indulgence and maybe finish up.
All right. Is there anything else to do this afternoon? We've got some transcript hangovers from yesterday.
Would you excuse me? At final, are there non-publication orders or redactions that have to be made?
All right. And we're otherwise on schedule to finish Mr. Breton in a time that's been
Yes.
allotted to him.
Yes.
All right. Well, Mr. Breton, that might give you some time to get back to your day job a little bit earlier. I'm grateful for your attendance and
I have to eat humble pie.
oh,
There is a final version of the induction manual, LCC.010.004.5849, and I understand, excuse me, it's now on Haiku. And it was produced by the council. Maybe if you just quickly.
back
read
then
that.
or just now?
Back then.
All right. Well, we might just get Mr. Breton to identify it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make sure we're all on the same page.
All right, so there's the first page. Maybe if we move down. and we go,
Yeah.
yes, that looks like a final version of the contents.
Agreed.
Maybe if we just go to the end of that page and the next page. I won't take you through all of it, but that looks as if it's the final version.
It does.
So we just, whilst Mr. Breton's here and we've got this on the screen, just go to that section of the training, the induction. There was a training section that you took the witness to in the earlier draft. Do you remember which section it
Just
was?
excuse me for
Yes.
a minute.
I'm assuming that it's going to be, if not identical, materially the same, but
It was under part of it was under section 5, corporate governance.
yes, which starts on page 29.
So maybe if we could
Of this
go
document.
there.
If we go to page 29, yeah, thanks. And perhaps 31. All right, it's all right. We can review it overnight, and if there's a need to return to Mr. Breton on any differences that might have been between the advanced draft as Mr. Breton described it and the final version, we can do that in the morning.
Sorry. I did take Mr. Breton to another section, which on my copy, or the copy I took him to, was page 59. This time it's page 60.
Great.
If we could just go to that.
Yes.
You'll see there under work health and safety.
Yeah, okay, it's the same. Yeah,
It's
that's the one I had in mind and I described very badly, so my apologies. All right, Mr. Breton, I can now continue to thank you for your attendance and your assistance across the course of the day. We'll resume your evidence at 10 a.m. tomorrow, so we'll see you here then. Mr. Emmett, were there any, you don't have to sit here for this, Mr. Breton, if it's more comfortable for you to be somewhere else. Have you had any advancement on the private portion of the transcript during the course of the day?
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. It might be convenient if either my instructors speak with the solicitors assisting you or counsel speak. But the answer is I understand. I think there's a
position and a way for it.
Yeah.
All right. I think the issue that you raised with me first thing this morning about the name, based on what I could find during the course of the morning, it appears once at transcript 1641, line 44.
Yes, that's the only reference to that name, and then there are other very brief redactions or matters that should be the subject of ongoing. Much of the rest of the transcript can be released.
That is the private transcript.
Yes.
All right. And if the name is redacted at 1641-44, the public transcript can now be pushed to the. All right. Well,
that's right, Commissioner.
Pursuant to.
we haven't had a chance to have a look at it.
No. In the public transcript, Mr. Emmett's concern was the three applicants for CEO. One of them we know is Mr. Ajaka. One of them we know is Mr. Breton. There's another one. And I'm about to just direct on an interim basis, as we discussed this morning, that name be redacted so the public version of the transcript can go out. And this afternoon or this evening, Mr. Emmett's going to propose some redactions to the private version of the transcript, which you and you and others will have a chance to look at before we determine what to do with those.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Pursuant to section 12B of the Royal Commissions Act, I direct that the name that is not Mr. Ajaka or Mr. Breton that appears at transcript line 1641 at line 44 not be published, such that otherwise and in accordance with the usual direction, such that that name should be redacted, and then the balance of the public session of the transcript from yesterday can be placed on the website. And I'll adjourn until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you.